Hello.
What's going on, everybody? It's Saturday night. Can't remember the last time we were live on the channel on a Saturday night. It was probably for a watch-along at some point. This is our official Halloween Ends full spoiler breakdown. We're going to dissect this thing every fucking way possible. There are 5 of us on the panel tonight. There might be more of us as the show goes on, and there might even be some special surprises along the way. Without further ado, though, the panel this evening, joining me first, he is the man that runs the Dark Match Drive. It's Jared. What's going on, man?
Hey. Is this mic working okay?
Yep, you're good.
All right, perfect. Not much. Watched the movie last night around, 10 o'clock. So I've been laid up with a back issue. So the wife got me all set up and watched the movie, and I'm excited to talk about it. I was texting you a couple times during it, so
you were. I just don't think I was by my phone at that time.
Yeah,
I did message Kate. I'm like, so did he notice the opening credits? That's a reference to, by the way, full spoiler discussion. If this, if you haven't seen the movie, you're in the wrong fucking street. So we're spoiling it all. If you want to get your question and or comment read on air, the best way to do that is sending in a super chat. However, we will occasionally take timeouts to pull up selected chat questions as they come in. We don't expect everybody to send in a super chat, but the ones that do will definitely get their question read on air. But we'll try to get as many people as we can on and sharing their thoughts. The only thing I ask is to remember that your opinion is your own. It's not factual. It's just your opinion, and your opinion might differ from someone else's opinion. So let's act our ages and not our shoe sizes in the chat, please, because there's a lot of that going around online. Also joining me tonight, he's the guy that's reviewing the Winchesters with me. It's Tommy B. What's going on, man? I know you were stoked to see this movie. You're probably just overwhelmed with joy right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the best movie in the whole franchise, right? You know, this movie just knocks it out of the park. I mean, the fan community's receiving it. You know, it's unanimous. Best movie in the whole franchise. Best horror movie ever.
If you say so.
We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but you might be a little surprised with what I have to say.
Really? Because I don't think I'm going to be. But okay.
Well, you won't be. We already talked about this a little bit, but that's besides the point.
It's right up there with The Bog from 1979.
Oh, God.
Intel Wild, definitely this channel's #1 supporter for the last few years. Without him, there probably isn't a channel at one point. He basically funded about half the channel for a good year or so. So big thank you to Intel for popping in tonight. I know he, like some of us, are still recovering. Also joining us today, he's the man behind Bros Before Pros Gaming. I didn't say host tonight. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for that one. Johnny, what's going on, man?
Not much. You know, it's been a long day. Finally got to sit down and watch it. You know, over the course of 2 sittings. Yeah, I had to break it up, but such is life sometimes, I guess. Thankfully, it's watching it at home and not in a movie theater where that's not an option. But I'm here.
All right. Johnny's here. Also joining us tonight, he is the primary sponsor behind the Overlook Drive-In, which you can catch a brand new episode of this Tuesday night. We are diving into Halloween 2. That's right, Halloween 2 Tuesday night. And I'm sure we'll be talking more Halloween ends.
I love that Rob Zombie movie.
Oh,
damn.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm hurting already, dude. We're not even 5 minutes into actually being on screen, and I'm ready to tap out. Matt, how you doing, dude? Just in general. You okay? I know it was a traumatic experience for you. I know Jamie Lee Curtis loves that word, trauma.
Oh yeah, it was a very traumatic experience, you know. And then the funny thing on the procession scene, was I watching the procession? No, I was looking at everybody in the fucking background. I was like, is Phil Brooks there? Are we going to have a Phil Brooks sighting amongst the crowd?
And look to see if he was there. I don't think he would have been there, because that whole sequence, if he's in the movie, it's somewhere else, because that whole sequence was done in the final set of reshoots. That wasn't even in the movie before then.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So
I guess I'll have to watch the ending again.
Well, there's also
I'm
30 to 40 minutes cut out of this film, you know? So not that they ever intended it to be a 2 hour and 40-minute movie. They just shot a lot. Wow, you're feeling it, huh? You look like you're hungover from this.
Yeah, wow. I mean, you know, I went home and pulled out my a bottle of Jose Cuervo and started taking a couple of shots of every bad fucking line and bad fucking scene that was in that movie. And I'm surprisingly, I still wasn't drunk.
Okay, so the way this is going to work is we're going to dive into our non-spoiler thoughts on the movie. We won't spend very much time on non-spoiler area, then we'll dive right into spoilers, and we'll be there for a while. So if you got nothing else to do on your Saturday night, as long as the stream is popping, we will be here. And I mean, I'm sure some of the guys will slowly fall off as the night goes, but we'll see how long we go for. So over to Matt first. Oh, by the way, I already see, I think Melissa in the chat is wondering where Mike is. Mike is busy tonight. There is literally a 2-hour and 15-minute stream that's on the channel from the night that it opened, with Mike and I on there from like 12:30 a.m. to almost 3 a.m. Both of us got like 90 minutes of sleep that night. For the love of
That's
God,
scary, huh?
go watch that stream if you want to know how Mike feels, or tune into the Take One podcast next week, where Mike's doing a roundtable of his own. And I'm sure we'll talk about it on Tuesday at the Overlook. So you have plenty of time to hear from the Bish. Matt, your theater experience, man, what was it like? Did you fall asleep? That's the big question.
No, that I didn't fall asleep. And if I'm sitting almost in the middle, one row behind me and about 4 or 5 seats over was Bish. So if I had fallen asleep, I would have been noticed.
Just
so
fucking popcorn thrown at you. Wake the fuck up, man.
No, I did not fall asleep. My thoughts, I'm still wrestling with them 3 days later, you know. There was points of it I was very disappointed, and there were points that I thought really good. I think a lot of us are saying, sorry, that Corey was awesome in this movie. His acting ability was very good for what he had to deal with. But my biggest gripe, this is a Halloween movie about Michael Myers, and you're lucky if you get Michael Myers for 15 minutes. I have a problem with that.
Mike and I have timed this out. We've timed it out. So we're going to save this for the Overlook.
Okay.
Michael Myers is alive in this movie, alive specifically, for 10 minutes and 38 seconds.
God. Even worse. That just stings even worse, that because I was saying 15. You smacked me in the face and say 10 minutes and 10 and some change.
15 is far too generous.
Well, I was trying to be with what we had to deal with in this some parts of this movie. But like I said, this is a Halloween movie about Michael Myers, and he is only.
Man, you must have seen a different movie.
I mean, it's supposed. No, I'm saying this is a Halloween movie. A Halloween movie is supposed to be Michael Myers. Michael Myers is supposed to be the main protagonist in this franchise, except for 3. And you didn't get that in this movie. And I think that's where a lot of disappointment is coming with from a lot of people. That's what I'll say so far. I'll pass it along.
All right. Jer, man. As a guy who's a fan, actually, before I get to it, I want to read this comment. Normally, I might not put something like this up on screen, but there's a lot of truth to what this person's saying. Tactical Terminator. Love the display pic, by the way. Halloween Ends. What a garbage script, David Gordon Green. I'm looking at you. And Jamie Lee Curtis, executive producer. You don't get off the hook with your woman power movement, salty old ass. I would say more of her the social statement that they insist on trying to continue to make with this trilogy. And it was no more visible than it was in this movie. Kills was visible. This movie was visible, maybe less so in 2018, but in order to get someone like Jamie Lee Curtis back, you had to do it for more than just money. And this was one of those things, you know. There's a story about David Gordon Green having to go through Jake Gyllenhaal in order to get to Jamie Lee Curtis. And trust me, the big debate was not dollars and cents. It was what direction they were heading in. And she very, very much made sure she got her way. But we'll dive into that later. Jerry, you're a big Halloween 3 guy, man. So part of me is like, maybe this film sat decently with you. I'm not really sure. Fill us in.
Okay, as a movie on its own merits, it was pretty fine. I mean, not, knock the doors off. This is a great, I'm going to rewatch it next week. But I think it was inoffensive as a movie itself. As a third movie in a Michael Myers trilogy with no fourth movie incoming. It's not what you would deem a satisfying conclusion to this. Especially, I mean, the ending, it just felt, to use a wrestling term, there was no heat. I mean, Michael didn't do anything for an hour and 40 minutes. Okay, he did one thing in an hour and 40 minutes. And then the last 10, it's like, hey, I'm here. Now I'm the main guy to wreak havoc here. And it just felt like, oh, he's here, but there's no attachment in this movie. We haven't been really okay, yeah, they did a little video, like the little video package leading up to the big battle, but it just felt like you have to know these 40 years of history to understand what Michael is doing and why he's here and all this. And you need to remind the people who and what Michael Myers is in every movie. There's a podcast I listen to, Split Zone Duo. They always introduce themselves right at the start of the show because they say every podcast is somebody's first. So you need to reintroduce characters every time out. You can't just assume that everybody knows who. This could be somebody's first horror movie. And they would come from watching this and think, who's this Michael Myers schlub? He's like an old man. He lives in a sewage drain and he's not scary. And then it just felt like he needed more. Like, I'm okay with the script. The script didn't bother me, but just the lack of attention and respect they gave Michael in the film. And I'm not saying make it a total Michael. You could absolutely do the script that they want. Just give Michael more. You know, I don't hate Corey. I love Corey. I thought that was a really cool addition to the story. But at the end of the day, it cost Michael his balls, essentially. And I like it on its own, but in a trilogy, in a Halloween movie, it's not what you want.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people echoing those exact sentiments, actually. So I don't disagree with your take at all. Mine might be slightly different, but we're pretty damn close to being on the same page. NMJ Film says, what's the deal with the Hulk Hogan brother? I know what line you're referencing. I know because I've said it on the channel ad nauseum over the last month, but have been vague about it. It's going to be a long stream. Stick around. Once we're done talking about what we've seen on screen, I will get into that. I promise. Johnny, you're going to have to wait. Tommy B, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Dude.
So for months, we've heard, I wish I should have clipped it out. We've heard Tommy saying, this film's going to be a piece of shit. That's my best Tommy B impression. You've seen the film. Have you changed your mind?
Changed my mind in what way?
Is it a piece of shit? You've been saying that for months.
Oh, this film is collectively a fucking piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. That hands fucking down. This film is collectively a piece of like dog doo-doo left on the doorstep and set on fire.
Wow.
Now.
Those are cherry blossoms, not dog shit.
Yes. Well, okay. Now, having said that,
might have been better if it was.
All right, let's come back now. Having said that, this film, it pleasantly surprised me in a few ways. I'm very happy to say that. You know, we had a brief exchange back and forth yesterday because I forgot about something. I don't take notes when leaks come out. I digest them. I allow them to come and sit in my mind, and that's it. Sometimes some pieces of them will float away, but I try to go in with as much of a fresh perspective as I can rather than reviewing notes of leaks and such. Now, obviously, a lot of this just stayed with me because of how fucking absurd it is. But, I went in not necessarily realizing when we first see Michael. I was really... I'll get to that later on. So there's a lot of good stuff in this film, I thought. I did not hate it 100%. I thought there was some very good acting. Everybody, all your main players performed their roles very well. Honestly, I don't think there was anybody I particularly disliked. What the issue is the manner in which it was, presented to us. Sean, is there anything, am I just going full in? Are we coming back part by part of the film, or how we want to do this?
We're gonna break it down into different parts. So I'm just getting your general thoughts.
Well, then I won't go and do a big deep dive, but what I will just, end on by saying is, look, I went in with no expectations. My expectations were this was going to fucking suck. It was going to take the trilogy as a whole and throw it down a fucking volcano. And yeah, that did happen. Absolutely happened. But it was kind of like putting a bow on like a shitty Christmas gift or something, right?
Man, the socks, when people just don't stop fucking giving you socks, it's like, oh, more socks. Great.
I mean, as I get older, some socks are pretty good.
Actually,
Yeah, you reach an age where socks is a pretty good gift
now. But socks as a kid was always like, really is it? You hate me, don't you?
Like as I get older, a good pair of socks, that's like, hey, that's pretty good. Those are pretty cool. Or like one year,
socks.
One year, a cousin who's more like an uncle to me, got me into Star Wars when I was a little kid and all. He actually might not have been a Christmas gift, but he gave me Deadpool socks. That was a fucking cool pair of socks.
Yeah. So,
I don't think theme sock counts in your anti-kid gift. I mean, if you give me themed socks, I'm okay with that, but just give me like generic champions. Then I was like, oh, well, you hate me.
Kings of Sanity says, after I finished the film, I angrily walked into the kitchen and slammed my genitals in the refrigerator door repeatedly for 10 minutes. Well, I think the chances of you having any more offspring are probably slim to none after that. But I feel like
I don't think you actually did that, but if you did, I hope you sought medical attention. Yes.
I mean, we all know that's the reason Kieran's not here. He hated the film so much that's why he's not here. He did the same. No, I'm kidding. He's off doing a family thing. And if you want his thoughts, we did a little chat this morning for about an hour where he dives into the basically every part of the film. So he definitely had a chance to share his thoughts of the film, and I'm not going to share them here. Go watch that one. Mentalect says, I like Halloween Ends, as did most audience members. Maybe most of your audience members, but the widespread feeling online, I'm not saying everybody hates it because everybody doesn't hate it, but there are far more people that don't like this.
There are far more people that hate it.
And we're not talking Halloween Kills where it was like, maybe 60% didn't like it, 40% did. This is more like 10% really liked it, another 20% are somewhere in the middle, and the other 70% are butchering this thing. Trust me, we run a Facebook group with 100,000 people. I'm seeing it every minute of the day since the release.
And even before that, and we knew it was going to get crazy leading up to it, but we've been on the Zuckerberg blacklist for months, just because of that group. So as a side note, let me point out to y'all, if you're on that group, please play nicely. Like, I'm just waiting for the day that group gets kicked off Facebook.
Oh man, I hope 100,000 people strong in there.
We have so many warnings against us for that group.
Oh, sure. Dean and I think we've suspended like a dozen fucking people today. So
yep, same. I've been kicking people off. Yep, yeah, it is what it is.
If you want to come on, like, hey, you can come on and say, I love the film and it's the best ever, and you guys, you can stop there, But then don't tell everybody else they're wrong, because your opinion is only your own. Same if you go on and say it's the worst film ever. You might want to provide some context to that and why you feel that way. But again, it's just your opinion. It's not fact. We all feel. I imagine there's some different feelings on this panel. So I apologize if you've already heard me say my feelings coming out of the film, but I went into this thing expecting to fucking hate it. For the better part of a year, if not more, we've known most of the events of this movie. And then several months ago, we got a confirmation on some of those things. And then the big one that I hadn't heard of was that Corey was in fact the main character. And I remember we had our little Cult of Thorn chat for some of the staff members. And as we were reading through it, the general consensus was kind of like, was this a fucking joke? Like, no, this isn't the movie. Someone hates Fandom Empire and has handed us some very false information. Which, I mean, there's people that do. But again, so I went in expecting to hate it. I went in expecting to feel like I did after The Last Jedi. And I sat there about 40 minutes into the movie, guys, going, fuck. I'm totally into this Corey story. Why? Fuck. But the problem with that is, as much as I think Rohan Campbell not only is by far the best performer in this movie, he might have put on the best performance in a Halloween movie, period. You don't have to like the character. You don't. But I don't think it's subjective in saying that guy could fucking act. And if they would have found him sooner, maybe they go a different direction completely. For me personally, guys, the worst parts of this movie are Michael Myers. This movie, and I never thought I'd say that coming out of it, like, he is the worst part of this movie because of what I would call the complete lack of respect towards the character. The character this franchise has survived on, not Jamie Lee Curtis. She did for a bit, but the thing that kept the wheels turning for the longest time was Michael Myers. He will still be the thing that keeps this franchise turning, years from now. And I just thought, as much as I loved the Corey stuff, and I thought that the acting was great in the movie, the sound design, I got to see it in IMAX. When that little fucker Jeremy hits the floor, my God, like the theater, seeing that in IMAX is like, oh, wow. Like you don't just hear the thud, you literally hear bones crunch. And it was so well done. But the problem is, I thought they were so disrespectful to Michael that they shit all over the character. I would compare it to if Star Wars shit all over Darth Vader. It wouldn't be received well. And then add on top of that this is supposed to be the third act in a trilogy, not Halloween 3 Part 2. And it doesn't work at all as a final act in this trilogy. Like, they literally ignore several things they set up in the previous two movies, which made me just kind of go, okay, I get ignoring the movies that don't count, but you're literally ignoring the story that you made now. And so I left it very conflicted because there was a bunch of things that I loved that I didn't think I was going to love, but ultimately the things that I hated, I seethingly hate, and it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth for this film. Johnny, you just seen it, man.
I did.
Let me start off with this question before you give us your non-spoiler thoughts on it. Right. Are you happy you watched it at home?
Yes and no. I would have enjoyed it in the theater. I enjoyed it at home. So I don't, I didn't lose anything watching it at home, I don't think, because, I was able to watch, a high quality, and, there are amazingly phenomenal headphones, and I had a great, high quality monitor. So, I wasn't lacking for loss of quality in any of the sort of available forms. So it wasn't, like, I wasn't watching some grainy, pixelated version that, we've had to experience. So I think to answer the question in the way you're sort of asking it, I would not have been mad having spent money for a theater ticket to watch it.
Yeah, I think it's worth the price of admission once. Like, if you want to experience a Halloween movie in IMAX, I'd say, hey, well, it's your only option, so maybe go do that. But I wouldn't give it any more money. And to be honest, we'll get to the marketing after the movie, but like, they were extremely disingenuous with the fan base heading into this movie. All right, guys, let's dive into it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh,
General thoughts.
Sorry, you were done. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you just asked me the question about the
Go ahead.
theater. And
Getting ahead of myself.
The movie, I think, was great to a point, and I didn't expect that. I didn't have all of the spoilers, the knowledge of the plot quite so much until we hit that trailer moment where it sort of, blew its wad on the Corey thing. After that, I did learn some elements and some things, and I went into this not expecting much. I was sort of meh about it. That's why, I watched it at home instead of going to the theater. But I actually watched it, and I kind of sort of had a response like you did, Sean, there, that, when you reach a certain point in the story, you're like, hey, I'm actually kind of invested in this. I'm enjoying where this is going. And it reached a point where I was like, okay, so, like, we know this is Halloween Ends. We know this is the end of the Michael and Laurie story. And you sort of reach this point where it's like, so we're going to sort of move Corey into this spot, and he's going to be the shape now. He's going to be the villain and the bad guy, and, continue on the legacy. And then you get to the ending, and it's like, nope. We're just going to this is it. And if there was any part of the movie that sort of left me scratching my head, it was really, the last 10 minutes or so. Because up until that point, it felt like the story was going in a certain direction that I was behind and I was enjoying. Even the lack of Michael didn't bug me until the ending. And then it was like, oh, well, this, it felt like the last hour and a half had sold me a bill of goods, got me invested, got me interested. And then it's like,
yeah, like you can not only, like, in my opinion, you can see and feel the creative battle on screen in this movie.
I will say this, like, those elements that I hated the most about, like, kills, where you sort of had that, those obvious moments of the Jamie Lee Curtis influence, didn't actually feel...
Sorry.
In this film, they didn't actually pull me away from it. Like, there were definitely parts of kills where I felt pulled out of the story by that sort of element. I didn't feel that this time around, which I was very happy with. Even though they did sort of splice in some of those Jamie Lee Curtis elements, they didn't feel so forced, ham-fisted in this story, which I liked a great deal.
Yeah, I think the writing is just in general better in this movie. The acting is top-notch. There's a lot of redeeming elements in this movie, and they, in my opinion, they piss it all away. I think the way we're going to do this, we don't really have a sound plan here. We're just sort of winging this as we go to get through it all. So I'm going to throw this question at everybody out there, and you guys can just agree or disagree and free for all. Anybody have at it rather than me assign it. Zach Arnold, I want to give him credit where it's due, who is the host of our House of the Empire show on the channel, our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon review show. He and Dave McCrae, I thought, said it best. This movie, again, this is just an opinion, is not a horror movie. It comes across more like a drama with horror elements in it. And it I think the dramatic parts of the movie are very compelling, but there's just not enough horror. Like, there's no suspense in this movie. There's jump scares, but like there's nothing where you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? And I think the movie suffers from that to a point. The movie is only A14 in Canada. That's pretty telling when you look at the previous two movies. Anybody deeply disagree with that take?
I don't.
Can you just real briefly explain that for those of us in the U.S. that rating A14?
It's comparable to your PG-13.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the point entirely. I mean, I said on one of our previous, I can't remember if it was a Phantom Empire show or if it was a Halloween specific one where we were sort of discussing our expectations, and I made a point about not being sure which genre this would fall in because Halloween has fallen in many different genres over the course of 50 years. This one definitely fell in that sort of psychological thriller genre. Not, it wasn't a slasher film, it wasn't a horror movie. I mean, that's proven by just the sheer number of kills. I mean, there were more kills in the opening scene of kills than there were the entirety of this movie.
Yep.
And
And they were.
I'm okay with that. I didn't hate the lack of kills. Like I liked sort of the way they handled them in this film. I didn't, they didn't take me out of it because the story was going that way. Like right from the start, you had your moments of like, whoa, oh damn, like when Corey knocked Jeremy off and then fell to 3 stories and crumpled. I was just like, oh shit, like audibly responding to these sequences, and some of the later kills sort of had that same sort of response that they didn't take me out of it. But I liked the cycle. Like slasher movies are only good to us. Like I think I made this point in one of the other ones where Michael Myers is not a great slasher villain because he doesn't have that quality that like Freddy Krueger is the prime example, because he has that charisma, he has that wit that makes him a
They're
great
2 different
slasher
killers.
villain. Well, yes, but I'm saying that makes him a better slasher villain than Michael. Michael, I've always liked more when he's playing in the shadows, when he's in the darkness, when he's being the shape.
That's his strength.
Exactly.
That's his strength. Right.
Which
but you got 2 different guys. You got.
Right, which is why I'm saying that I didn't like the Michael movies where they were trying to play him up as a slasher villain, as a stabby. He plays best
Like
in the
your
shadows.
Bobs and
Darkness.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like that's why one thing a lot of people are coming into this, and their point is there wasn't enough Michael. I actually liked the amount of Michael we had, and I know I stand alone on that. But because to me it was building up to being a pass the torch movie. And again, this is just purely me from my perspective, but it felt like
and then it was
exactly like it felt like at the beginning when we first see Michael that he's weak, he's powerless, he's drained, and then you see him start killing, and he starts to power back up. So you're starting to see sort of that supernaturally Michael, and it's like, okay,
and he's just a man.
and then you get to the ending, and it's like, oh. So we're not going to like switch it, and Corey's not going to sort of become the Michael and sort of take on, the mark, as it were, and become the next guy that it's like, you just, everything. That's what I said. I feel like everything they built up for the first hour and 35 minutes was great. And then you get to that final 10, like literally up to the point where Corey it does that second line where he's like, if I can't have her, no one can. And then everything after that was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the creative battle is on screen. It's frustrating. I don't mind that Michael was only in the movie for 10 minutes and 38 seconds while he was alive. I hate how they used that 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Michael Myers should not have lost a wrestling match to Corey in the sewer. And if
I actually didn't mind that just because of how they presented Michael. Like you could see that this Michael was
He's
very
weak in state. Yeah.
Why is Michael that way? That's not what
that's why I said like it felt like once you see him start killing people, like when Corey literally presents the cop to him and he stabs him, you start seeing Michael sort of power back up. Like he hulks up in that sequence. And I felt like, okay, Michael, he hasn't really been killing for the last several years, so he is weak. He's powerless. He doesn't have that thing that makes him him. How that explains his 30 years in the prison, I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole. But now it does sort of explain why he was so docile in the prison, I guess. You know, like, I was okay with that because if you started seeing Michael become Michael again with every stab of the knife.
So let me put this in wrestling terms,
And-
and then I want to ask Tommy and Matt a question. But I want Jared and Johnny's take on this wrestling example. This felt like, okay, so Halloween Kills is the last thing we get to see before Halloween ends.
No shit.
They establish in Halloween Ends he has been killing people during this time. We get the Megan Baxter sign that's on the highway, and we hear what the hobo says. Which, by the way, he originally kills the hobo and puts on the coat, and it didn't end up happening. So you might have remembered we said he would look like a hobo at some point, similar to Rob
That was
Zombie.
that picture we saw with him with the coat.
Hobo
right?
Michael, yeah.
Yeah, and just remember that when we said all that, we said he kills a hobo. Well, ended up not being him, ended up being Corey that killed the hobo, and he never did put the coat on. But we were on the right page in terms of that. Anyways, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down, saves Team WWF against the Alliance. But then, okay, so that's Michael Myers at the end of Halloween Kills. He's getting destroyed by a mob of like 30 people. Including Iron Lady. Can't forget Iron Lady. She's a rock star. He gets shot several times, beat with ball bats, brooms, hockey sticks.
Don't forget the iron.
The iron. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a microwave in there somewhere. I'm sure Brackett was using his nightstick.
I didn't know Margaret Thatcher was in the movie.
He gets up and kills them all. Every one of those mother Canuckers gets killed. And then for the icing on top, he finds his way back into the Myers house and kills Karen too. And then proceeds to kill people during, like, first of all, a man doesn't survive that. No man ever in the history of the world would survive that. Let's not bring religion into this either, by the way, people. Let's leave that off to the side. I seen somebody do that on the Halloween fan group today, and it's just like, no, we're talking entertainment here. Come on. Okay, so Stone Cold comes down and saves the Alliance, and then Takamichi Nuku and Funaki come down and destroy Team WWF. That's how it came across to be. Like, wait, Corey, who is not a threat really at that point, was just thrown off a bridge, basically makes Michael his bitch. They're like, it's not earned at all in my eyes. Do you wrestling guys agree with that analogy at all?
I mean, I think it's a super extreme version.
Well, yeah, that's why ECW was in the Alliance.
No, I'm not arguing that. I think the right example that you might have made would have been like the 1994 Royal Rumble, where Diesel eliminates 14 people, and then Shawn Michaels comes out and super kicks him, and he takes a tumble. I think that might be a better analogy for the point you're trying to make, but I understand. Gilbert. Jesus.
It's hard.
A Goldberg analogy would have been great. He beats 190 people and then gets beat by a taser. That would have been another great analogy for the point you're trying to make. But
yeah, exactly. But yeah,
it's extreme, but it's accurate.
Michael didn't get a chance to get his heat back at the start of the movie. I mean, there was this dead period, and he doesn't exist for the first 35 minutes other than in spoken word. So then...
Yeah, he's the muscle. Corey's the guy. Like, if you want to make wrestling analogies, in the tag team match, Corey is the guy getting his butt whipped that then makes the hot tag to Michael. And Michael comes in and bumps this guy, bumps that guy, and that guy on the apron again.
Yeah. And I thought it was a cool element that you kind of see Michael kind of find himself in that scene again. And I think there was a lot more they could have told in that angle that they just kind of put all together in that one scene, and you put it together yourself, and then they just move on from it. I thought there was a moment where we could have kind of really looked into Michael not being able to be Michael yet. Show him struggling at more than one kill. Get the point across a little better. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that, like I said, they put all the heat on Corey and then they just kill him off. Like the most invested guy in the whole movie is Corey. And like I said to Kate while we're watching, I'm like, they are putting a lot of sympathy on this character, not only before he started killing. It's like, you know what? These motherfuckers deserve this. And then it's like Laurie, in essence, in 2 scenes, all she needs is 2 scenes. She flips the script almost and turns him into this bad guy. I mean, obviously you're not going to go and kill people who deserve it, but in the context of the movie, these people are getting what they deserve, and then he's all of a sudden a bad guy for it. It was a weird element where Laurie kind of is like, no, I know you're evil now. Well, the only way you know he's evil is through your granddaughter. And she didn't even say anything about it. She didn't say she knew he was a killer till the end.
I think it missed sort of that Dr. Loomis of it. Like, they tried to sort of play that when Jeremy's father had the scene with Laurie in the bar.
Yeah,
that was a great scene.
They tried to have that moment.
That was a very Dr. Loomis scene.
Exactly. Like, you have that. I looked in his eyes, and that wasn't Jeremy's eyes. That was Evil's eyes. And I don't think he said that, but he should have. I think it would have tied that better together to be like that sort of callback to Dr. Loomis, and he's got the devil's eyes. And it would have suited their purpose more, sort of marrying the 2 characters together. But since we're talking about characters and deserving it, can I just say, how fucked up a town is Haddonfield, where the marching band are the bullies?
Yeah, that's
what?
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
That was great.
What is wrong with Haddonfield that the marching band are the bullies?
I got to give you hordes for that one. That was well done. Well done. By the way, everybody, again, we will be getting this. If what you put in the chat is, if we think it should go up on screen, we will. We'll get to some questions too as we go here. And again, the number one way to get a question up
Since
here.
We're on this. There's this question. I actually have a question for the Americans who've been in American high schools. Do band geeks get Letterman jackets? What was the deal with him wearing a letter jacket in the scrapyard?
No, they don't. They don't.
I don't know.
I didn't think so. I'm like, is this just the thing I don't like? I know you can get letters, but I've never seen a band geek wearing a Letterman jacket like that. So is this like the only football jock who's also in marching band? What?
Must have been.
Intel Wild sends in a $5 super chat. Michael looked like a heavyweight champ taking out the mob and kills. 4 years later, I know, is weak and vulnerable. Yeah, if Michael escapes the mob, somehow, some way with his life, but most of the mob survived, then I'd be like, hey, that makes sense.
Then you'd be watching The Godfather.
So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Tommy and Matt. So you and I you guys and I are. I usually go to you guys first whenever we get spoilery information. You obviously had an image painted of Corey before seeing the film. Did you end up liking Corey more after seeing the film, or do you still just fucking hate it?
Absolutely ended up liking the character more. I guess my view was obscured, just having no visuals, having no on-screen stuff to go off of, and it was just clouded by the dislike of the plot and the prominence that Corey would be, because Corey should not have been the main character of this film. This should not have been his story. This should have been the ending of the struggle between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and quote unquote was, but that should have been the main event, not what we ended up getting. As for the character of Corey, he was really portrayed very well. It's just something I want to throw out there, just to find out if I'm alone in this, because I think there's a chance I may be. When the scene where the little kid locks him in the closet or whatever that is, that attic, and then he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and then he kicks the door down, and then you see the kid, fly down. Did anybody else think that wasn't him? Like, you don't.
Might have been Corey that went over the ledge.
No, that it was not Corey who threw the little kid over the ledge. Maybe that's what you just said. Maybe I didn't hear.
No, I think he just goes
I
through
didn't
the
think he
door.
actually threw the kid over the ledge. I assumed it's just me that the kid was like leaning up against the door, and when he finally kicked it open, the kid just kind of went, "Whoa!"
Yeah, basically,
and over the ledge.
The door
I
hit
don't think
him.
he
You
actively
flew
threw it.
that fucking far? That fucking far? You flying from getting the fucking door opened on you?
Oh, we don't know how close the door was to the
It
banister.
was actually pretty close. I had commented on how the structure of the stairs turning around the corner looked terrible, not knowing that door was going to fly open and a kid was going to fall.
Okay. I didn't consider that. What I thought was going to happen until like the halfway point of the movie, maybe a little less than that, was, oh hey, it's actually Michael who threw the kid, or something like that, but it ended up being
I mean, if it would have been, would anybody have been complaining? Just throwing that out there.
no.
Entitled little shit. Again, I would never say that about a real kid. It's a movie character, people.
I'm watching that and I'm like, yeah, Corey would do that to Jer. If you're in our football league, you get that joke.
Before we get to Matt's take on Corey, Matt Fauci's in the house. He's a Halloween Ends lover, and he's not going to be ashamed to say it. You shouldn't be, man. You shouldn't be. Most of us on the panel, have parts of the film that we like. I have parts of the film that I love. But there are parts of the film that I find utterly unforgivable. And, there's a reason 70 to 80% of the fan base can't stand it. And that's probably me being generous. But you should not be ashamed to stand by how you feel about a movie. Jer and I, anyways, big fans of Halloween 3. And there's still people that won't give that movie a chance. So, yeah, and this is to everybody out there, not just Fauci, but like, if you loved it, if you went and seen it and got exactly what you wanted out of it, then I commend you. That's fantastic. And despite, whatever the narrative is online or with whoever you talk to about it, by the water cooler at work, you shouldn't let anybody else dictate how you feel about a piece of entertainment. Feel how you feel and stand by it. Matt, Corey, did he hit it all for you?
He did. He hit it all for me, and I was thoroughly disappointed that Laurie killed him.
I mean, did she?
I mean, well, Michael killed him, but set it in motion. I mean, I'm almost like with Johnny on this one. It was like after he's gone, it's like, well, kind of that same kind of feeling after they killed him, because you knew it was setting up for that putrid fucking worthless battle between Laurie and Michael we got.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, he's a sympathetic character, and you believed him. And I don't know if I told you this, or I might have taken your thoughts and kind of made it my own myself. That would have been a better movie. Huh?
I said, how fucking dare you?
Oh, I'm copywriting your ass. I would have thought that movie would have been as good, or better, if Laurie Strode was never in it. At all.
I think the movie's better if, when Corey's finally at the snapping point, this is after they've had that look into the eyes and the the implied essence transfer happens, and that actually did happen. We're going to talk about the other. There's 3 other endings to this film. One of them we've discussed
Well,
pretty publicly on Patreon, and it'll stay there. And we'll talk about the other one during the stream. But that moment where they have like the little flash through as they're looking into each other's eyes there. How I don't know how it's supposed to be interpreted in the final cut. Certainly comes across like an essence transfer, but at one point during the production of this movie, it was 110% an essence transfer because the essence transfer happens again at the end of the movie. But we'll dive into that more later.
I called it the Vulcan mind meld when I was watching it.
Real quick,
I-
if you wanted to bring her in, the perfect scene I think if you wanted to bring her in is when he wakes up on Halloween and he's sleeping in the old Jeremy's parents' house, and that's when you see Lori for the first time. That worked. That could have worked. And she's like, I just didn't like her in it at all.
I thought her,
but I know she's got to be in it.
I thought Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in the movie was great. You know, leave out her on-set antics and being more worried about pushing a social agenda than actually making a good horror movie, which is it's a common theme with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not news, people.
It's nothing we haven't seen in 18 or Kills there either. It's the same thing. And if this is going to be her final film, I want to see something more substantial. And I think they missed the mark on that.
I want to point everybody's attention up to the top left picture. So it doesn't really ever get brought up again, but shouldn't she feel like shit after the tire stabbing? Because really, in reality, all she did was make the situation fucking worse. But that gets completely looked over because she's Laurie fucking Strode and can do no wrong in some people's eyes. But in my eyes, she made the situation way worse. Did you guys get that at all from that?
Yeah, she should have been thrown from the bridge.
I would have been on board for that too.
I think it played into, I think you're absolutely right. She did make it far worse because obviously if she doesn't do that, then the band won't pull over on the bridge and then throw him off, and he doesn't meet Michael, and the butterfly effect causes that to happen. But I think it sort of played into everyone in Haddonfield sort of blaming her for Michael. I actually sort of liked that in that with Michael, she didn't really do anything wrong. People are say she baited him in, and all those things were well, what? But this time she actually did those things. She sort of created the monster, and I actually liked that. And it played well with the other story elements that were happening on there, with the different characters blaming Laurie for Michael, and for the town being the way it is, and all those other things that they were blaming her for that she didn't actually do. Whereas this time she actually did. She fostered the monster, she created the monster, and I like that.
Intel Wild sends in another $5 super chat. It's appreciated, man. Says the motorcycle scenes were a bit much to me. I told my sister if they show that thing one more time, well, Intel, just for you, my friend. Here's a look at one of the cut scenes from Halloween Ends, and it is another motorcycle scene. There you have it, right there. And if you can't tell, I'm totally fucking with you. That's not the cut scene, but that's what it felt like would have been more appropriate for the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they did him dirty. They did him dirty.
So this is Michael Myers and the Outsiders, guy. Right?
I was going to make an E.T. reference, but that too.
Oh, man.
I felt that way about the radio jockey. Every time I heard his voice, I was like, haven't we had enough of this guy?
Okay, so Michael, or was it? No, it was Corey who killed him, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that scene there was one of the coolest kills I've seen in a while. Not even the kill, but like the end scene with the record going around.
Jade and I started laughing hysterically in the middle
That
of the
was
theater.
the best.
And it was like, I don't know if we were supposed to be laughing at that scene. A couple other people were laughing, but like we couldn't stop.
Yeah, that was right up there.
My
with
response
the
was
the
sort of
door.
why are we spending money on this?
It was great.
Repeat for me what kill you're laughing at?
It's when Corey comes in, takes the DJ, and smashes his head into the record player like it's a turnbuckle, and then and then he cuts off his tongue, and the tongue starts going around on the record player.
Yeah,
Making the record
that was
skip and fall off.
Let me tell
It
you, the
was
sound design in IMAX for that scene.
Oh,
Was that your favorite kill, Tommy?
honestly.
Well, let's move to that for everybody. We'll let Tommy go first. Everybody's favorite kill in the movie. Same with the chat. We're gonna bring up everybody's chat responses on screen to this specific question. Let us know what your favorite kill was in Halloween Ends, and we'll see who ends up leading the way here. What kill ends up leading the way? Let us know in the chat or right now, please and thank you. Tommy, your favorite kill and why?
I can't answer that question. And it's not for a good reason either. I was thinking about this morning, and I watched 78 last weekend, I think it was. I watched 2018 and Kills Wednesday night or Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night. I watched Ends yesterday. And no kill from Ends, none, stays with me in a meaningful way. Now, maybe that's just because it was my first time watching this movie. Or maybe it's just in comparison to Halloween Kills. But like we knew, the kills in this movie just did not do it. They didn't do it for me in the same way. Maybe a rewatch is in order, and I'll change my opinion on that.
Wait, you're gonna watch it again? Wow. Bravo to Tommy. Wow,
Well, every movie's worth at least one rewatch, so you can get a second opinion, right? Even a movie like Halloween Ends or The Rise of Skywalker. Any movie.
Ooh.
Now,
You had me till you said Rise of Skywalker.
now this is me saying this where I've never gotten through the whole The Last Airbender movie, so I think I've gotten like up to 15 or 20 minutes in. So
Let me tell you, I watched that Dragon Ball Evolution movie one time, and I have not.
I think I got through that once, but it was not. I was not feeling very good about myself afterwards. I think I felt dirty.
Couldn't pay me to watch
that's
that
a shower movie.
Oh yeah, that's. Oh man, you talk about shitting all over our franchise. Thank you, Fox. Johnny, favorite kill, man.
Wow. I want to pick Jeremy, but that's just a cop-out answer. So I'm gonna have to say the one that satisfied me most, Officer Dickbag.
By the way, I don't know if anybody caught Officer Mulaney. Rewind to Halloween Kills at the beginning. You don't mess with the Mulaney's. Looks like the Mulaney's got what was coming.
Was it Doug?
Doug. Yeah, Doug.
Oh God.
Like 3 times Allison's age.
I was concerned with that as well. Like when he pulled her over, and it's like, then when she first got pulled over, I assumed it was going to be, one of the cops.
Frank.
That's who I thought at first too. And you see this younger guy, and I'm like, okay, who is this idiot? And then he starts like awkwardly flirting, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. This guy's like in his 30s.
That's being generous.
Well, I mean, mid-30s, but it's like this dude's our age. What? This is gross.
2 words: daddy issues.
Alrighty then.
Are we sure it's not uncle issues? I mean, she fell for Corey pretty fast.
Yeah.
She did. She did. Jade mentioned the red flags there. Like, how long was it? I'm like, it was about 3 or 4 days. And she's like, yeah, you're probably out when he asks you to leave with him. So,
Yes.
chat. What was your favorite kill? Comment now, and we will read them right after we're finished up here in a couple of minutes with our favorite kill. Jer, what's your favorite kill, man? Who's taking it home?
Oh,
Don't you say Michael. Don't do it.
I found Michael's kind of underwhelming, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
And probably just due to the lack of build-up, really. It was like a 10-minute ending that
it felt like that time that Sheamus bro kicked Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and it was over in 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's not like Michael Myers is going to be over as hell for the next 5 years. So, probably the DJ kill. I really liked that, and the way he talked shit like 10 minutes before, and
To Corey, no less.
yeah, exactly. Allison just being like, "Okay, we'll leave," and Corey just like not looking impressed by the whole thing. It's like, okay, he's getting what's coming to him eventually. And I thought that was probably the at least most interesting kill. I mean, the hobo kind of that was there, and officer getting it in the sewer was all right, but yeah, it's probably the DJ.
Maddie, how about you, man?
Blurry blowtorch.
I wish they would have shown more of that kill.
Oh, they weren't. I think you even said it was, or you might have said, or somebody said that's like over an NC-17, because it was enough. You saw it, but it was enough blurry enough. You didn't see really what it was doing. You saw only part of it. And somebody said that's like when Roy got the flare and stuck it in the dude's mouth at in
This
Friday
movie's
5.
a lot like that Friday movie with certain elements. So I remember when Matt found out when Matt found out we officially had the movie, like we knew everything. This was before the final sets of reshoots, though, and he was like, "Give me something, man." And like I wasn't at a point where we were sitting down to talk with the staff yet, and I said to like literally 2 words to Matt, "Roy Burns," and his response was,
Pretty much. Yeah.
My favorite kill, and I do want to talk about the sequence once we read what everybody else's favorite kill was the sequence that the movie builds to. Corey, becoming Michael essentially, and getting back at those kids. There was one too many off-screen kills in this movie for my liking. We needed to see a little bit more. I get it. That's always a thing with Michael. You got to see some off-screen kill or see the after effects of some off-screen kills. But the one, like I could say the whole sequence, but that feels like a little bit of a cop-out. The one that really got me is it's not the douchebag with I don't know what it was through his eye, but he got whatever stuck through his eye, and we didn't see that one. It's not the girl who is about to get killed, and she's like, "You're about to get killed" or whatever. It's not even the blowtorch, but it's the one that like wasn't even really mean to him, and he runs into the fence, and she gets trapped under a fence with barbed wire. And then he's done killing people, and we think he's just going to leave her. And he fucking runs her over. And I thought, that's Michael Myers. That is actually Michael Myers. And I really fucking dug that kill. Like, I was kind of like this in my seat. Like, go Corey. You get them.
I don't know. Michael Myers leaves some helpless bystanders alone at times. I mean, the one example my mind always goes to is, I think it's 2018. There's the baby crying in the room. He walks up to it, looks down at it, and then goes and keeps on walking out the house.
Before we get to everybody's favorite kill, I piss on dead people's grave. That's a unique name. Dig the display picture, by the way. They could have made an excellent anthology spin-off with this from Michael to Corey, but they dropped the ball. Yeah, I can't help but wonder if creative differences got in the way there, because I assure you there is not another Blumhouse and Universal Michael Myers or Halloween movie coming. It will be from a different studio. So, and this isn't like news. We've been saying this on the channel for, I think, like 3 months now. Basically, when we got word that some shit went down. Yeah, the ship has sailed in that regard. But I do agree with you. There was a chance to really hand off the torch and do something new, even if he would have been dressed as Michael going forward. And it didn't end up happening. I want to go back through some of these kills, guys. Tim says the fire in the face. The DJ kill is the only notable one, says Ken. I like. I mean, the kill itself is cool, but the tongue on the record player is just fucking hilarious. Pika says favorite kill is the beginning. Jeremy, I really did. Everybody here enjoy that kill? Like, for those that didn't know it was like, did you guys know that kill was coming?
Well, I mean, they spoiled it in the synopsis for the film, so yeah.
Oh, right, they did actually.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot everything, almost everything going into the movie, so I was kind of lucky that way. I thought Jeremy got what he deserved. Little shit.
Little
Yeah,
fuck.
Jeremy's are often little shits.
They are.
Not only no ice cream for him that night. No, he got a little worse than that.
Should have watched his movie.
Alex is breaking my heart here. He says the death of Michael Myers. Hey man, if it worked for you, that's great. Now, when you say, let me flip the question back to you, Alex. Do you mean the just him getting his throat and wrist slit, and then Allison coming in and really getting kind of like the last blow on him? Everybody's like, well, Laurie killed Michael, but technically Michael's last blow is from Allison, not from Laurie.
Was it? I thought the wrist slitting was last.
Allison,
Because that was after the throat grab.
Allison comes in and like it looks like she like full on like breaks his arm and then goes at him. And then he's
was
not
that after that though?
Boom.
I thought that was before, like when she grabbed his arm off the throat and then did the arm and then they slit the wrist. At least that's how I thought it played out.
I
mean, I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but I mean, either way,
they might have cut it differently, but I can tell you, at least for like the last several months, I've known that Allison got the last lick in on Michael. Whether it's I've only seen it once, so I'd have to go back and watch, but I'm pretty sure it remained as Allison getting the last lick, unless you count Laurie throwing the body into the shredder there. Cool. That's my question, Alex. Are you talking about the stuff in the kitchen during that very anticlimactic battle? Or do you mean him getting thrown into the grinder after that, in my opinion, incredibly cringeworthy funeral procession?
Yeah.
I did not know about that going into this, and this is yeah, and this is one of those instances where going into it, I didn't know about it yet. You know, scrolling through Facebook, you see, you know, like you have certain groups muted and you hide certain things, but sometimes things will peek through that aren't actually spoilers. One of those was a Halloween ends without context. You know, for meme things. Not in a Halloween group either. Just a Halloween ends with no context. And the last meme was like a crowd surfing thing. And I'm like, oh, great. They're going to kill Michael and surf around his body like a fucking Weekend at Bernie's, aren't they? And that's exactly what they did.
So Kate's favorite kill is actually probably, I would say, Michael getting thrown in the car cruncher, because she was telling me ever since the scene where they were at, like the first scene at the garage where Corey gets yelled at, and when Corey's killing the dudes and all that at the garage there, she was like, I'm so disappointed he didn't throw any of them in the car cruncher. And then once they're driving back into the garage at the end, she's like, oh my God, they're going to do it.
So
I'll admit, I thought they were going to the radio tower at first.
when you guys, radio tower had a different purpose at first too. When you guys were watching it, Kate messaged me and she's like, fuck that guy who's being mean to him. Like, well, why? And then like 2 minutes later, she's like, never mind, it's his dad.
That was a great sympathy kill because he realizes it's his son and then turns around and gets shot in the fucking head.
Okay, let's continue to read some of these here. Melissa says the DJ and the killing of the franchise.
Shane Douglas is still alive.
I got to give you horns for that one, man. That's a deep pull. The DJ says David Irwin. Brian says when Corey kills the 4 bullies. I'd say the 3 bullies and the one.
That's another thing I wondered. Why is she okay? So she got mad when they threw him over the bridge. Why is she still hanging out with them?
Right?
You just killed this guy over a bridge, but yeah, let's hang out next Tuesday.
And where was the reaction? Like, oh, he's still alive.
Oh, thank God we didn't kill him.
Right?
I was getting real mad Padme vibes from Allison. Definitely really getting mad Padme vibes.
How so?
Yeah. Like, there's no fucking way she could see any of this. Like, things were going on. Things were getting dark. But she turned a blind eye to it. Things were falling apart, and she turned a blind eye to it until the end. And that's exactly...
She didn't really get this... Like, there were definitely red flags, don't get me wrong.
There were red flags.
But Corey did a pretty good job of having the mask on around her. You know, like...
I guess you're... I mean, I guess the difference is Corey didn't come back and be all like, oh, I killed them. I killed them all. They were animals. And I killed them.
God. Oh, God. Okay, now I get it. She's like, yeah, you know what? I think it's probably okay that I have kids with you and keep her really. I get it. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I'm not sure I would compare the two as being close, but I get where you're going with it. Wayne says probably the DJ kill. Mastodon says Corey Brogue kicking Jeremy over the stairs. Plot twist: he actually did do it on purpose. The kid's just sitting there on the railing because he's a kid. Kids do dangerous shit, and Corey's just like, oh, whew.
So can we argue that was left open for interpretation? How that went?
No,
I don't think so.
No, they're very
because you literally saw him kicking the door open and then the kid falling like immediately. There wasn't really a delay there because you could.
I was just curious: is it possible they left it like that and it was off screen for maybe he snapped and then threw the kid over the fucking stairs, or maybe he kicked him, or maybe the kid just accidentally flew like because it's close.
Oh, man.
An interesting question I just thought of on that kill scene. So he's coming up the stairs and he finds the knife and then he gets locked in the room. And so he kicks the door open and he still has the knife in his hand because he comes to the edge with the knife, right?
Yeah.
So on the autopsy, they're going to realize he wasn't stabbed at all. So the knife felt kind of more for a visual effect other than, I mean, kicking the kid down, 3 stories is probably a good enough kill without the knife.
Can I just say that I laughed because it was a bread knife?
Yeah.
Like, I realize this is a bread knife, and I'm like, no, nobody's getting stabbed. That's a fucking bread knife.
Well, the bread, hey, that zucchini bread almost got stabbed, but he got distracted.
There was another super chat. Sorry, my chat's lagging here, guys. I seen the super chat here. There it is, right there. Don't miss with Uncle Sug TV. Great stream, guys. Thanks, man. That's appreciated. I just want to remind everybody that even though Halloween Ends has come out, there will be Halloween content continuing to come out on this channel. The next couple of weeks, we're going to be diving into Ends and doing stuff like our 5 things we loved, 5 things we hated, top 5 kills, all that sort of shit will be going up on the channel. But even after that, we're going to be diving into the making of the films that came out. We're going to be doing a bunch of Halloween movies over the next 2 months on the Overlook Drive-In. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the Halloween movies that were in development or in production that didn't get made and taking a deep dive into them, including some interviews with that stuff. So be on the lookout for that, as well as covering whatever we can on the talks that are going on about a new Halloween movie. And it's been out there now for a couple of weeks that Danielle Harris has officially made her pitch for a Jamie Lloyd return. And we could spend an hour and a half on that tonight, but there's just not enough time to get that to that tonight. But there is a Patreon video that's ready to go out, not ready to go, but will be going out next week or two about that. And then we will also be covering that on the channel. And by the way, if you like what you've heard here tonight and you want to support the channel on a different level, you can do so over on Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire, where you can find our exclusive Halloween show over there, Lampkin Lane. We dive into all sorts of Halloween stuff over on that show, and you can get that at the Lampkin Lane tier. We have some new tiers coming too. The Patreon's going to look way more organized. Mike and I have been putting a ton of work into that stuff, so be on the lookout for that.
So lots of crying about it.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt.
Lots of
Go ahead, Tommy.
I really just feel like what you said in the middle of that really needs to be emphasized for those in the back who aren't fucking listening. For real. Just because this movie is called Halloween Ends doesn't mean the franchise is over. It doesn't mean this is the end of the franchise forever, the end of Michael Myers, yada yada. This is not a guarantee you're never going to see anything ever again.
I mean, if
And
this would have actually happened on screen, Tommy, it might have been the end of the franchise.
oh, it might have been the end of the franchise, but thankfully, I mean, maybe that's a deleted scene, right?
Imagine just James Courtney sitting there, arms around his waist, whispers into his ear, "I love you." Michael talked in Halloween Ends. It's "I love you." Can you believe that?
Hold on tighter if you're scared.
So many folks, they're out there, they're jumping to conclusions, they know it all again. Oh, it's the end. Oh, they killed it. No more. Last Halloween movie.
There are literally already active talks going on about the next one. Don't expect whatever comes next, though, to be on the scale of these movies. These movies were done by, I know people point to Blumhouse, but at the end of the day, they're Universal movies. And believe me when I say Universal has had enough of the Halloween franchise for now, just as Malacca Cat and Company have had enough of Universal's BS. So
I think everyone's had enough of Universal after they took this fucking massive shit on Michael Myers in this movie.
More like Blumpkin House.
All right. So let me ask you fellas this. How would you have done the ending if you still had the meat of the movie in place? What would you have changed? I'll start. Give you guys some time to think about that. I would have had Corey go down into the sewer after the stair thing and gut Michael like a fucking fish. If you intended on going with this Michael is clinging to his life nonsense that wasn't earned at all or explained at all, I would have had Corey gut Michael like a fish, have the essence transfer happen. So, like, essentially, Corey's descent into madness is him becoming Michael. In a way, he still kind of is Michael. Have him walk out of the sewer, put the mask on, continue on with the movie, and I wouldn't have had him die at the end. I would have leaned way more heavily into Corey. Sometimes, I mean, they called lots of audibles during the filming of this, but the one that they kept sticking with because Jamie Lee Curtis got her way was we got to kill Michael because this is a story about trauma and giving families and people in them and people in the community hope, and that they can still have hope after going through such a terrible event. And it's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with social commentary, but sometimes you go a little bit too far with it, and once it starts affecting your creative, I think there's a problem. I would have gone all, like, if you're on set and you're watching the dailies of Rohan Campbell as Corey, I don't know how you don't go, we have something here. Because I knew what was coming with Corey, and I did not think I was going to like it at all. I thought I was going to hate it. And yet I found myself loving Corey stuff. That's how I would have done it differently. Johnny, how about you?
I think, like I said, I actually really enjoyed this movie as a passing of the torch movie right up until the ending. And I think that's relatively easily salvageable if you get Corey doing the sit-up. You can have everybody else progress as they did, leading to the awkward funeral procession, or even, in a credit tag or something where, you have Corey in the audience. Pretty much, was it Halloween 2 that started that way? With Michael in the body bag in the, in the corner, like in the morgue, and he does the sit-up. Was that 2?
Sorry, can you say that again? Just the last part.
Well, I asked if it was H2 that had Michael doing the sit-up in the body bag.
No, the body bag sit-up is Resurrection, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, but he does
Good
sit up in the original Halloween movie, That's why when everybody's like, well, The Undertaker invented that. I know you guys are wrestling. But no, Michael Myers way back in 1970. I'm sure there's Frankenstein movies where Frankenstein sits up the same way, too.
Literally, that's how Frankenstein sits up. But, I think it's salvageable through that, because then you do establish that whatever it is that makes Michael has passed from Michael Myers to Corey.
He did do the sit-up.
In after death.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, because Michael's, you can't kill Michael. You can't kill the boogeyman. Well, now
unless you have a refrigerator,
because he passed. Michael's dead because Corey has taken on whatever made the boogeyman the boogeyman.
Before I let Jared Tommy go, I want to let you guys in on something someone said the other night when Mike and I were on. So they had this person might be in the chat. If you are, please take credit for this. I don't remember who it was. So there's the moment with the grinder, right? Where she throws him in. He's assumingly dead for all that time. How insane would it have been? She's throwing him in, and like his hand grabs onto her and pulls her down with him, and they both go out there. And I thought to myself, fucking yes, because the look on all of Haddonfield's face would be kind of like, oh man, he got her. But the other one's like, oh, well, fuck, we don't have to deal with either one of these fuckers anymore. They're both gone.
I'll admit, I thought they were setting up for that when you have Laurie in there with him.
Yeah, and the
like
only
that,
person
like,
in there was,
exactly, yeah.
I see it, Shawnee. Thank you. I'm going to get to Tommy next. Intel Wild says, plot twist in the finale on Ends. Michael switches overalls with Corey and stuck out with no one seeing him. Never seen that before in the franchise. Cough, cough. Trick or treat, Mustafa. Yeah, we talked about that movie this week, actually, on the Overlook Drive-In. We gave our scores for it. If you have not seen the Overlook Drive-In, I strongly encourage you to go see it. It's a very well-produced show, and the scorecard's interesting because it usually leads to very different opinions on motion picture films. Tommy, what is the Tommy B ending of this movie that still contains the same guts leading to the ending?
Still contains the same guts leading to the ending. That's It's tough because this movie was half this movie and half shit that shouldn't have been in this movie. um, so I'm definitely on board with what you were saying. We should have seen the essence transfer take place on screen. It should have been, whether it's something magical or whatever, right? But that should have definitely been on there. We should have seen like the transfer of the Michael Myers consciousness or whatever. But what we'll differ a little bit on is that, all things considered, I didn't particularly hate the ending per se. I don't remember if early on in our coverage earlier I was vehemently Michael has to live, or if I was like, well, we'll see what context it is and all that. If presented in the right context, I think this could have been a good ending to cap the trilogy. Knowing full well that they're going to come back, they're going to reboot it later. It's going to be something different. So, of course, we want something to still come later. So, if they were going to continue this trilogy, or this storyline rather, yeah, they should have left an out, and that could have been Corey getting away, behind everyone's back. Never see what happened to him. So, overall, I'll just go ahead and summarize by saying I agree with you. They should have definitely had Corey just finish off Michael, and he should have been able to have escaped at the end of the movie. As things stand, I didn't mind seeing Allison finally getting out of... That part felt kind of incomplete, though, honestly. Feeling you see Allison leaving Haddonfield almost as if she has nothing.
Yeah, like 5 seconds. Here's this character that we've been setting up the torch passing to in terms of Final Girl for 3 films, and you get 5 seconds of you driving out of town in your shitbox, and Lori...
You're leaving your grandma, the only family you have left.
There's a level of fucking...
It's shit.
It comes across selfish, to be honest.
Like if it was just her, or if there was something that happened and made it look like she died, or I don't know, any number of things, like Lori did, like Lori ran off. I think that would have been a little bit different. Lori ran off.
She didn't have. She left, but Frank was still there. So it's kind of Frank was there to look at. Kind of showed you that Frank was heading to that point that they were going to get close again and all that.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, Matt. That's a good point to make. Yeah. It was said earlier, I think you said Zach Arnold, it was his words originally, that this movie presents itself as more drama with horror elements. Can't agree enough. It feels like a fucking Lifetime movie in some aspects.
Yeah, Chad Miller sent in a $2 super chat, told you there would be a motorcycle meme. Yes, you did, man, and sure enough, there is one. Pretty good one, too. I don't know who made that, but they deserve all the credit in the world for sure. Johnny, did you mean there was one after this? This is the last one I see right now.
No, it was that one.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So I know we need to get to who hasn't done their version of the ending yet. Jer and Matt. Okay, so before we get to Jer and Matt, everybody's asking about different endings. Actually, we'll let you guys go, and then we'll talk about 2 of the 3 different endings that were not shown. Jer, what would you have done differently, man?
Well, I wouldn't. Okay, so yes, Lori stabs Corey in the neck, and Michael shows up. But if they had stuck to the full idea of Michael's essence going to Corey, then yeah, Michael's death should kind of be as easy as it was, because he's not who he used to be. He gets killed off, and then they send Corey to the morgue. They can do the whole car crusher scene, whatever, and then it goes from Jamie standing triumphant with Michael in a million pieces to Corey sitting in a morgue, and he sits up. Something where it gives you an idea that, okay, we didn't just spend 95 minutes introducing you to this character and having you care about him, and then just one and done. He's toast. You didn't just waste that time investing in a character that does not matter at the end of the movie. And I think that would have been rewarding for the type of movie that they did. I don't think, and even if they didn't go with another movie for another 5 years, that's fine. They still set the table. As of right now, there is no table set. There's nothing. And it just feels it would have treated the audience with more respect for that kind of ending, where, okay, the guy with Michael's essence now is Corey fully. He's not just, a 75% version of Michael. He's got everything now, and we can play with that in the future. Because right now he's dead, and he was a great character too. Rest in peace, Corey Cunningham.
I thought he was the best character in the movie, personally. And
absolutely.
That's probably a problem. If I'm being serious here. Here's another super chat that we will get to. But before we do, Matt, what's your ending like, dude? Please don't say one of the ones that we're about to talk about either.
Well, I'm kind of with Jer. I really like Jer's side of the ending. If I hadn't done that, what I would have done is essentially when he's strangling her, she has the flashbacks, but
they're there for but we're getting to that.
I know, but essentially he chokes the life out of her, but she's got enough light left that Allison makes it there not in time, and then Frank, so they're having this like little sweet moment before she passes away. That would have been fine if he would have done it that way. Kill them both. That's the way I would have done it. If I had my choice, I would have done it that way, or I would have done it with kind of the way Jared explains it. If you're gonna set it, Corey felt unfulfilled as a character, in my opinion. There was a piece of that character that was unfulfilled, and you just don't hype him up, just knock him back down. It's like giving someone a title. It's Liv Morgan. You give her a push and everything. You give her a push, and then you knock her right back down. And that's what I really kind of felt with they did with Corey Cunningham. They hyped him up to be this. I'm taking over from Michael Myers, part of my essence. There should have been that full essence with something. Keep Corey long enough to somehow. He doesn't have to be like being strangled by Michael. When Michael dies, what left of that essence of him saves his life, even though he got stabbed and strangled. There's so many better ways they could have gone, and they just didn't capitalize it. And I think you said it, Sean. There's a good movie within this movie.
There is.
They just didn't hit on it.
Yeah. I mean, there's an amazing anthology movie that they almost complete and then decide not to. But there is no good trilogy capper, in my opinion, in this one. Which is frustrating. I see I think there's 2 or 3 super chats we haven't get to. I promise if you're sending in super chats, we will get to your questions, and even if you're not, we'll still try to get to a few of them. So one of the other endings is quite simple. everything that you see before the funeral procession happens, except for that moment where they're flashed when he, even after the throat is slashed, he grabs, reaches up and grabs Lori. During that moment, I've seen someone on a much bigger channel than us claiming it was at a funeral home, which is not correct. But hey, take everything we say with a grain of salt, right? The essence transfers from Michael to Lori, and Lori ends up becoming the almost Halloween 4-ish, the essence of evil, to a point where this scene right here, which we do not see in the movie, happens. And Lori actually attacks Allison, but then is able to stop herself. And anyways, Lori ends up locking herself away to try to contain the evil. And that's like, it's kind of like a heartbreaking ending. Like, yeah, Michael died, but in the process, his essence transferred into Lori, creating another monster. And so that the evil doesn't continue to spread, she locks herself away. There's some implication that she might have killed herself, but the only thing that we really know is she locks herself away. So that is one of the other endings. I prefer that ending over that cringeworthy funeral procession, but I know that's one of the things that, even though they shot it, from the sounds of it, Jamie Lee Curtis was not for it. What do you guys think of that ending?
You think that was a universal ending?
I couldn't tell you who did the ending.
If you had to guess,
I can tell you that it's not just, oh, maybe this was out there. That was literally one of the ending at the test screenings. So it's not like nobody got to see it. A lot of people have already seen that ending.
But do you think the funeral procession is a universal?
I think it's a combination of Universal, David Gordon Green, Jamie Lee Curtis. I'll tell you who it wasn't: Malika Cat and Trankus.
God.
So
yeah.
I prefer it though, because I like I know you gotta have your happy ending. Lori's gotta have her happily ever after. Still doesn't explain why Allison was just basically completely written off with no proper finish. But yeah, that was one of the other endings. What do the rest of you guys feel about that ending compared to the funeral procession?
I don't mind the funeral procession. I see it as like an extension of the town of Haddonfield coming together as they did in Halloween Kills, especially since the narration of the film really leads us to believe that the town has become more fractured. And we see that it's become more fractured with how they treat Lori and how they treat Corey, and even Allison. The town's, communally, it's fucked. So we're seeing a healing, if you will. And the healing comes with, destroying the body of Michael Myers, because that's what they felt they needed. I felt like, Lori, the character of Laurie Strode, giving her a happy ending is not the end of the world.
Fuck you, Tom. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, look, one of the hardest things for me during this process was knowing quite some time ago that, and we'll talk about another ending right before the end of the stream, but for me, it was really hard for months on end to go into this thing knowing that Lori gets this superhero survivor-like ending, and Michael gets dusted and is hardly in the film. That was really hard to try to create content around without completely butchering it for everyone. And it also made it hard to be invested because, even my reaction in the cinema, guys, as we're sitting there seeing it, was just completely... The movie had me up until the knife to the neck, and from that point on, it's just like watching this horrible train wreck happen on screen again and again and again. Again, that's just my opinion. It doesn't have to represent everybody's. Sure, everybody feels a little bit different. Jer has a meme he wants to share with everybody, though, before we get to the other two super chats. And I know we got to get Matt and Tommy out here after that, but I do want to read them on air first. Jer, you want to explain this meme before I show it at all?
So, Lori finishes her manuscript and opens the safe, gets the gun, and makes the call to 911 that there's been a suicide, and hangs up. But then Corey opens the door, and turns out the phone call wasn't for Lori. And this meme came to life.
You remember that Halloween ends with no context? Spoiler
Yep.
I referenced earlier. This was
Yep.
literally one of the four squares. Yeah.
Oh, man. Horns for this. Someone just needs to put Jamie Lee Curtis's face on this old guy now. Man. By the way, like, no reaction at all by her to the fact that he's wearing Michael's mask. Like, completely no-sold it. And then when she hears someone come in, she's like, oh, wait, he might be back. But it's like, you literally turned and looked at the mask and said something before actually saying taking your shots. As good as Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie, and she is really, really good in this movie. I'm not a big Jamie Lee Curtis fan, and how she pushes her social agenda over creative. But like that no sell made no fucking sense to me at all. And I didn't know
felt like a big moment too, because he goes and fights Michael for the mask. Like there's a reason he wants to get this mask, and you're watching that scene thinking, oh, the payoff is going to be when Lori sees the mask and it's actually Corey. That's going to be so cool. And it's just a non-issue. She just like expects it, and it's just okay, next order of business. And it's like, okay, what why? Muted.
Fuck! Almost did it. An hour and 50 minutes in, and I hit the mute button. All right, we're gonna get Tommy and Matt out of here now before we get to the rest of the super chats. Tommy, final thoughts for now, anyways, on Halloween Ends, and maybe a brief thought on where you'd like it to go next, meaning the franchise.
Halloween Ends does not work with the rest of the trilogy, as we knew would happen. However, there's a lot of good stuff in here that honestly could have made something else. Could have been put in a spin-off, could have been in a movie that came later. Any number of things. We got too little of Michael Myers, and the Michael we got was abso-freaking-lutely terrible. That is not my Michael Myers. So, did I hate the movie 100%? No. I thought it was very good acting, some very good story work for the franchise. However, what was good shouldn't have been this trilogy. It should have been in a movie or a series of movies, or even like a limited series or something.
Evil, a Halloween film or a Halloween anthology film,
that followed this movie. It should have been after. This could have been what they did for the 50th anniversary or something. I don't know. The final fight, to me, we haven't talked a whole lot about that, but
because it's shit.
Well, it felt very out of place.
Because it's shit.
I didn't hate all the acts. I didn't hate all aspects of how it went. It felt kind of like a struggle between old horses for me, if you will. Lori was worn down from her years of losses and her poor mental health. Michael, the dude's been living off of rats, living in a sewer for the past 4 years. He's fucked up. So that was interesting. The ending, it was problematic to say the least. It felt very sudden and very anticlimactic, despite wrapping up some loose ends. They put all this work, all this into building up the character of Allison, and yet here she is, just suddenly driving off. No real payoff for her. We have no idea what happens there. So it's very unfortunate. It's, this could have been so much more if they just practiced a little more caution with it, if they didn't change the way the whole movie was going to go, if they didn't do the time skip. They had to do a time skip because of how the narrative of kills ended up going and the time.
Well, I mean, there wasn't supposed to be. Like, the original version of Halloween Ends is the same night and a completely different fucking movie.
We would have been running out of time, though, wouldn't we? Realistically,
no, Halloween 2 ends the like 1981's Halloween 2 ends at like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. The sun has come up, and at the end of Halloween Kills, it's like maybe midnight 1. So like there was 4.
They could have done it. They could have done it,
and they completely took. It's kind of like they're like, okay, so that plan we had, our script, yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, they should have never done that. They should have never done that. But
Yep.
we got what we got, and honestly, as we've been seeing, fan community don't fucking like it.
The majority of people, yeah, I think that's
The majority of people, yeah.
Maddie, you got any final thoughts, buddy?
Where I'd like to see them go with it. I'm really curious to see what Malika Todd and Danielle Harris might be having brewing. Because if it's something that's going to go directly after 4, color me really interested in to see where they can take that. Because that means they could possibly bring back Rachel and all that good stuff. So you never know, and make it a limited series or something they can run on Netflix or Hulu or one of those, and then just keep us at bay. I mean, I would expect that probably out till maybe 20, if we're lucky, 24, and just hold us over till we get something in for the 50th and 28th, because we're getting something then for sure.
Yeah,
be shocked if we don't. My movie thoughts. I thought it was a good movie that could have been a lot better movie, but it was a shit Halloween movie, and I'll just leave it at that.
Quickly before you go, the Danielle Harris bit, though, I gotta stress this to people. Halloween 4 is literally my favorite Halloween movie. Not only is it my favorite Halloween movie, I legitimately think it's the best Halloween movie from all standpoints. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion. People would probably not like how high I have Halloween 3 on that list either, which is very high. But the only way you can follow up 4 now in 2022 is to make a standalone movie or limited series or whatever you want to do. It's going to be done at a much lower budget if they go and do that without nearly as much fanfare. But you've got to make a movie that stands on its own so that new audiences don't have to go back and watch 4, but you can reference the events of 4. It cannot basically be Halloween 5 2.0. You cannot do that. It will not be successful, which means they have the trouble of coming up with a story that, okay, is engaging the new audiences. They can watch it without having to see 4 before, but the people who have seen 4 will get more from it. And that's not an easy creative challenge. And if they can't do it effectively, it won't happen. That's where I am with it. Anyways, we're going to get Tommy and Matt out of here. Tommy B, big thanks for being here, dude. You can catch him on the Winchester's reviews that we're doing. Episode 2, I guess we would be doing Wednesday evening. So we'll have the Winchester's out. Winchester's review of episode 2 Wednesday evening. We got to get them out the day after. It's the only way it works. But in the meantime, those of you that have come out and that are new to the channel, if you're watching this Halloween stream, our Winchester video is actually getting quite a bit of play, and the activity has been good over there. So big thanks to the Supernatural fans who've come out and joined the channel and are enjoying our coverage of that. And little sneak peek behind the curtain, Tommy and I might have something coming to Patreon that Might be supernatural related. It might also be a lot of other things. But Tommy, thanks for doing this, buddy.
Absolutely. And hey, if you folks have, hell, if you've never seen Supernatural, I've only seen parts of Supernatural, consider giving the Winchesters a shot. Very enjoyable so far. The launch episode felt like a jump back to the original days of Supernatural. If you're in the US, you can stream it on the CW's website for free. Next day.
Awesome, man. Thanks for doing this. This guy down, let's see if we can get right here. This guy right here. Him and Jason Nike make the Overlook Drive-In possible. Without those guys, the amount of work that has to go into that show to make it work, I would not be able to do. And those guys signed up to sponsor the show for the next year. And we greatly appreciate it. Without him, there's no show. And there might be some Matt Whitfield related Patreon stuff coming soon that Matt and I are going to connect with and figure something out. And when that happens, you'll actually see Matt's logo go up at the beginning of the Overlook. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks for doing this, Matt.
Yeah, it's no problem at all, sir. Y'all have a good night.
You too, sir. Get some sleep. And don't give John the middle finger. That was completely unnecessary. No, I'm kidding. Take it easy, buddy.
You too. Y'all have a good night.
And then there were three. The two wrestleheads and myself. Let's get to some of these super chats here, guys. Zeno says, Ends would be a better movie if the finale would have been great. Make it more than 2 minutes with different locations. Oh, you mean the fight? So, yeah, that's my problem. The whole fight is in the kitchen. They never go anywhere else. And the fight itself lasts like 2 minutes.
It's like a domestic on Bloor Street. Like, come on, man.
Oh, man. Or Athol.
Yeah.
No, I got the... Is it Athol? No.
Yeah, Athol's...
Athol's behind the arena.
No, it's not that one then. Help me out here. The
Wentworth?
row of townhouses. Those old...
Oh, Glenn.
No, not Glenn. You're going down Simcoe right before the Tim Hortons, those old school houses that always catch fire. Why can I not think of the name of this street? Olive! That's the one. Apologies.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what the fuck are they talking about right now? Coded language. Yeah, no, the fight guys was shit, in my opinion. Like, there's some people being like, well, at least the fight was great. And it's like, are you going to sit here and try to tell me that fight was better than their fight in Halloween 2018, which takes place over the whole house and there's actually suspense in it? I think you're nuts, but if you have that opinion and you really think that, then I'm glad you're happy with it. Thoughts, fellas, on that final fight? I know we didn't talk very much about it. Probably with good reason.
I think it suffers from, like I said, had this movie just sort of been just a few differences creatively makes this an entirely different thing. Like, if he had transferred the essence of whatever to Corey in that first sequence, and we just been slowly seeing the decline of Michael, as it were, throughout the course, or Corey's death triggers the awakening of whatever it is and transfers it there, whatever. And Laurie is facing what is essentially an old man, decrepit Michael, then that fight scene works. But they go to great elements to continue the supernatural, by still making him hard to kill. I mean, she stabbed him in the lung, she slit his throat, skewered his hands, and he still has enough strength to very nearly kill her. Like that's not human. That is whatever makes Michael still, being there. And I struggle with it because it was so sort of, I don't want to say easy, but it was just so short, so short-sighted, so small, being that it was just all in the kitchen, and she skewers his hands and then knocks the fridge down on one leg and he's still trying to kick with the other one. And it's like, well, this is just silly at this point.
Yeah. I agree. I think it needed more meat to it. If this is the final fight between the two, it just felt very anticlimactic, and I don't think that I think we deserved better. I mean, yes, given this entire movie was about Corey, and that's fine. But I think a Michael Laurie finale also deserves the same amount of not attention, but at least respect. I mean, it just felt like it didn't feel like this big climactic finish to this 40-year franchise that these two have been, butting heads for this long. And I mean, yeah, they showed the little video clips and it's whatever. But this final fight just didn't resonate with the importance that it should have had. And I think that's a detriment to the overall story that they've been telling, even in this trilogy, so I don't know. It deserved a little better.
If people can take a second and just click the like button, it really helps the channel out. It would be greatly appreciated. Helps other people find the stream too. The YouTube algorithm can be, mother canucker at times. So click that like button. It's absolutely free to do, and you probably could have done it about 5 times in this little 20-second diatribe. Anyways, let's continue on. There's another super chat here from Nightfall Cinema, and he says, I desperately want to see the pitch meeting channel's take on ends. You all right?
Yeah, I was watching the Guardians-Yankees game, and the Yankees choked a 3-run lead in the bottom of the 9th.
Oh, bummer.
At least it was only 3 runs.
Yeah, right. Those fucking Blue Jays.
Hey, the Mariners got swept. I'm happy.
I don't know if I'm happy or that just...
I mean, when don't they?
Well, whoever was winning that series, I just wanted them to lose the the CS. So, I mean, I might have to cheer for the Yankees in the next round, I guess. I don't know if I like that, but I'll do it if I have to.
Yankees.
I'm not cheering for the Astros. Sure as heck, So, I mean, I got to cheer for somebody in the ALCS. Go Guardians?
Nightfall
series?
Nightfall, if you're still in here, man, can you just explain the super chat a little better? I'm not sure I'm understanding when you get to the channel's take on ends.
Is there a pitch meeting channel that I've never heard of?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Judging by the capital letters, I'm guessing that it's a specific thing. At least that's what it sounds like.
I'd be curious to check them out if that's a thing. We'll address this further, man. You don't.
I'm gonna say yes because that's the thing. It's a channel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gonna have to check that out. I hope it's satire.
So
it certainly seems.
I'm gonna have to check this out. You've given me something to do tonight, Nightfall. Thank you. It's appreciated. It's gonna be a late one for me here, and I really appreciate that.
So one thought I have on this movie that I haven't really touched on, and it really ebbs and flows throughout the whole movie, and I think it's a good thing. In your typical slasher film, you see the antagonist, protagonist, and their friends, and that's the core of the movie. And they tell the story within this small circle of people. And you rarely see outside of that circle the effects of all of this insanity and damage and everything that is going on in this town where this is happening. I think Halloween Ends does a really good job of kind of spreading out the effect of Michael Myers and what he's done. You have the scene outside the grocery store. You have it's a little hokey, but you have the townspeople making sure that this body ends up at its destination. You have the people the suicide at this within like the first couple minutes of the movie, just showing the effects, the emotional and psychological effects of this. You have the scene with the mom and the dad, with Jeremy's mom and dad, and how they're both on opposite ends of the spectrum there with what happened in their situation. And I think it does a really good job of expanding the effects of what happens to a person psychologically when they're not the main character who's going to end up killing the bad guy, but rather we're kind of along for the ride, and it's a very hopeless feeling because nothing is being done about this killer who's still out there, and we have reason to blame Laurie for this. We can't handle, like that person's mom is in the wheelchair or whatever, and just all the little. I thought it did a really good job explaining the psychological effects of everything.
Speaking of supernatural, sorry to cut you off there, Jer. That lady survived one of those glass cylinder lights being smashed in half and having it stuck through her throat in Halloween Kills. What?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if David Arquette can survive that. Why can't she?
Well, I don't know if David Arquette had Michael Myers do it.
That was a wrestling joke.
I know
Well,
the deathmatch thing. That he
She's
went.
not a former
Yeah.
WCW champion, so
I even know that one. So
yeah.
Okay.
Close.
There we go.
The real difference is Michael's not MDK.
True. I'm not really into Machine Gun Kelly much, though.
That's MGK.
No, whatever.
Into Wild says, Sean, was there an ending where both Michael and Laurie die at the end? Personally, if I had the executive decision, Laurie dies, Michael lives. Yeah, there was. So that where Michael reaches up and grabs Laurie, she gets her neck snapped, and Allison comes in, and they're just both dead. There's no her piling on; they're both dead. And instead of the cringe worthy funeral procession we get an actual funeral for Laurie Strode, and a lot of people from Haddonfield are there, and it's believed that Michael's dead, but then Allison and Lindsay, specifically Allison, thinks that she sees someone watching her. To my understanding, they don't really focus on this person. It's just someone way in the background behind a tree, and then when the camera pans to them, there's no one there, implying that Michael Myers may have in fact survived, and that's how the movie ends. And that would have set them up to do more, but from my understanding, Universal's been out on Halloween for a bit, so I guess maybe they thought there was no reason to go with that. And I'm sure Jamie Lee Curtis was very, very against that. I don't know if there was one where Michael definitively lives. I just know that one implied that he lived to an extent, or you could take that implication from it. There's a whole other one that I don't know much about. Hopefully I'll be able to get the details on it, but I do know it exists. So I'll tell you what, speaking of Halloween material, those Taking Shape books done by Dustin McNeil and company, they could do a whole Taking Shape book just on Halloween ends and the different variations this movie has gone through.
Let's be honest, they probably will.
I wouldn't put it past them. If I were them, I'd be looking at 2018 Kills and Ends and getting all the information about how the movies could have been different in every way and putting out a third Taking Shape book. But it sounds like Dustin is a little exhausted with the franchise at this point. But I do thank him for always being kind with his time and coming on the channel that time. It was really appreciated. Nightfall Cinema. I said you didn't have to send in another super chat for this, but he did anyway. There's a YouTube channel called Pitch Meeting. Imagine, help me out here.
That imagines.
What pitch meetings for bad movies must have been like. One guy plays the screenwriter and the studio head. It's hysterical. I am fucking getting higher tonight and watching that shit.
Link has been sent to the staff.
Oh my god, dude!
It appears to be a Screen Rant subsidy.
So they don't go like whitest kids level then on.
No.
Do they do like actual like
I haven't watched any of the videos, obviously, so I just have the screenshots to go on based on the
Nightfall,
content.
do they do like actual movies and TV shows that are out, or do they just?
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Like just looking at like the most recent ones, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Don't Worry, Darling, Ultimate Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Man, they gotta do Halloween Ends. Someone start bombarding them with messages about Halloween Ends.
Here's one. It's an hour and a half long. Okay. Every Star Wars movie plus show pitch.
Oh God, I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm there. Wow, that's incredible. All right, it's appreciated. I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. We're gonna go for. I know these guys are going for about 12 or 13 minutes. Depending on how active the chat is, I might stay longer. Is there anything specifically that you two want to bring up about the movie before we hand off the show to the chat?
I mean, I don't think there's anything I have that hasn't been covered before so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I was really hoping Allison and Corey were going to just get together and go away somewhere and, have kids and have a life of their own. And it just didn't turn out that way. And it's real disappointing. They had a future. I shipped them.
Okay, hear me out. 10 years, new sequel. Allison got pregnant with her one night with Corey, and the baby kills her.
I'm here for Sleepless in Haddonfield.
I mean, they did spend the night together, so it's not that far out of the realm.
Look who's gracing us with his presence. Mike says, Lori kills Allison, then goes off and isolates herself. The other ending. That's one of them. That is absolutely one of them. And it's sure as hell better than that funeral procession, in my opinion. My fucking God. You talk about cringeworthy. Everybody's been asking, by the way, a lot lately, what's with my reference to the Jamie showing up on set and me using the line. She basically did the Hulk Hogan. That's not going to work for me, brother. Maybe you guys in 2 minutes or less, please tell the audience where that line comes from specifically.
Okay, can we play act this? Because I think we can pull that off pretty well.
Oh, no okay. Rehearsal. Let's do it.
Do you want to be Eric or do you want to be Hulk?
I'll be Hulk. I know where this is going. It took me a second to get the proper frame, but I know.
I'm just gonna do one at random. Okay.
Let's do the Korea one.
Oh boy.
Okay, I was gonna go Starcade 97, but that works better. You were just gonna say this about, hey Hulkster! I just got off the phone with Inoki, and he's got this really wicked plan. I'm just so excited for it. We're gonna do this World Peace Festival show, and we're gonna go over and we're gonna do it in front of 100,000 people in North Korea, and we want you to main event with Inoki. Hulkster, buddy, what do you think?
North Korea? That's not gonna work for me, brother.
So that's the gist of it, and again, take it with a grain of salt, people. This, if you trust the information that the channel has given you over the years, which we've been, I think we've been far more right than we've been wrong to a pretty big scale when it comes to this franchise. She went on set and basically refused to die. Remember, she didn't need to be there for the funeral scene; that was already shot. But she was completely against having her neck snapped and falling down to the ground, to my knowledge. And we're not the only people that have said this. I've actually seen a couple of the smaller YouTube channels, which, by the way, it's not just big YouTube channels that have inside information. A lot of times, the smaller guy does. Whether it's like these two up here, don't even have a YouTube channel really, and are two of the most knowledgeable wrestling guys that I know. Period. It's just the way it works sometimes. But apparently she just showed up on set and caused a big stink. And the gist of it was that this is a story about a woman who has survived 40 years of trauma. And we're trying to sell hope. And this is about a town healing. This is about a family healing. And you can't do that if you kill her. And maybe there's some more to that argument. but she lost me at her refusing to do it. And again, we'll stand by that. People can believe what they want to believe. It that kind of pissed me off when I heard that, and it just brought me back to how ugly H2O got. And then like this whole journey with Halloween Ends has been weird, to the point when the Peacock thing was announced after losing creative battle after creative battle. Ryan Freeman from Trancas comes out and said, and Trancas is Malaka Cad's company, comes out and says, hey, you can't win every battle, and basically throws Universal under the bus. And then he put something else out there too, going off on them a little bit more, and deleted that one. He might have even deleted the first one too. I don't remember. I have to look if it's still up there. But like, this franchise always seems to have too many chefs in the kitchen with their movies that aren't on the same page. It's happened multiple times in multiple timelines, and again, it sort of reared its ugly head up in there, which is frustrating. I mean, I wouldn't say what we got is Jamie's fault. David Gordon Green's the director. Universal signs off on it. Malaka Cad's not Mustafa Cad. That doesn't work that way anymore. There's no clause saying you can't kill Michael Myers anymore. Once Malaka Cad hands the rights off, and then obviously, there's a cut for him, and he gets paid to do so. He's kind of at the mercy of what Universal and Blumhouse and Miramax want to do. Obviously, he has a voice in the room, but once that's already in motion, it's not 1990 anymore. It's not 1994. It's not 1989. There's only so much you can do. Again, this stream will go as long as you guys are being active in the chat, so keep those questions coming in, and we'll. I'm going to go back within the last 10 minutes and see what else has come in before we pull it up there. But that's the gist of it, everybody. So yeah, let's go and see what else we have here. Flick says, with this latest trilogy, I think they would have been better served fleshing out 2018 and have him still die in the fire in her basement. Her daughter and granddaughter help her overcome the evil. Speaking of, I mean, this sort of made me think of it, but help me with this one, guys. So after 1978, she just can't get Michael out of her head for 40 years. Yeah, she had 3 of her close friends killed, almost had the kids she was watching killed. She almost died herself. She can't get over it. But 4 years later, about 15 times the amount of people die, and those much closer to her, including her daughter. And 4 years later, she's over it. I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm saying, in terms of the way these movies work, that did not fly for me at all. How about you fellas?
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm right there with you. That one was, yeah.
I mean, if all that shit happened to me, I would not still be in Haddonfield 4 years later baking pies.
Yeah, you're showing your tits to everyone, I believe was the line.
That was a great scene, dude.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, don't show your tits.
The theater cracked up during that scene for sure.
I say pumpkin pie for Halloween. Is that actually a thing people do?
I mean, at her age, her tits probably look like pumpkin pie.
I'm okay. Intel Wild gives us a score update. $2 super chat. Dodgers are up 2-0 in the fourth. Are you sending me that just because the Jays are out? How dare you, man? Don't rub it in. I mean, I wasn't really invested this year. I literally watched less than 5 games. So life has been crazy.
I was not pleased. I was invested.
Yeah. He says
mad respect, Mariners hitters. The Mariners pitching staff, though. And Scott Service. Guy's a dick.
He says, I wouldn't wanted to see Michael's essence transferred. I would rather see Sartain switch Michael in the prison bus from 18 to someone who doesn't feel pain and is violent. Well, I think we kind of did get the essence transfer to an extent, anyways. That's what they were trying to convey with Corey. But I suppose it might be left up to interpretation. He also says, looks like him, and they find out the man we thought was Michael wasn't. And then you hear chains break, door kicked in. Michael walks out of Smith's Grove. Who is the shape?
So we do an entire trilogy of the Dallas season that doesn't exist. Like it was all a dream. That's this whole trilogy. That would be the worst decision I've ever heard.
It just wakes up from a dream.
Cannot get behind that.
Adam J says, if Michael was actually killed by the mob and kills, and he wasn't in this movie at all, so we follow Corey until the end, I think it would have worked better. I actually agree with this. Or if Michael had barely survived the mob, Corey finds him, looks in his eyes, we get some sort of essence transfer, similar to what was done in this film, and then Corey kills Michael. And I know there's people like clinging to, man, let's hope there's lots of deleted scenes for this movie, and there is. The problem is they don't have to show you all of them. You haven't even seen most. You've seen like maybe 25% of the deleted content from 2018 in Kills. And my guess is that's about what you'll get for Halloween Ends as well. But I can tell you this, in terms of what was shot, it's not like Michael's missing 3 or 4 more kills. Michael had 1 kill cut. 1. That was it. There were other kills cut, but they were by Corey. And there are other Corey kills with him in the Scarecrow mask as well. So,
walk me through the timeline again in universe from 18 kills to now.
Like years?
Yeah, because the times just kind of get all jumbly in my head because it was awkward.
Okay,
obviously 18 was 18, right?
Yeah, Halloween Kills is 18 as well, same night. And Halloween Ends is 2022, 4 years later. But Halloween Ends was originally supposed to be the same night / morning of that.
Right.
And they went away from that, which I think was a big mistake.
Okay. So I guess it doesn't play in my head the same way then, because it for a second
the
I was
opening
thinking,
scene.
What if? I was just thinking, like, what if while Michael is being killed by the mob, that's the same time Corey is killing Jeremy, and that's when the evil finds a new host occurs, which I think might have played better, but obviously that can't happen because it was a year after that happened. So
Temeko says, why did Laurie keep the mask? I'm just gonna let Kate answer this one because it's a pretty badass centerpiece. So you think they would have burned the shit out of the mask too? That would have made the most sense.
Yeah, get a little styrofoam head, put it on there, and
it could be something as simple though as if Universal would have gotten the rights back, even though they weren't interested in that, and we were going the supernatural route. Michael could possess somebody and go back for the mask.
It's proof of conquest.
Proof of conquest. Not bad.
Yeah.
Entertainment Wizard says the 3 Exorcist films have to make $400 million each to break even.
That second one was the shits.
I don't know, but everybody.
Are we talking about like the new ones?
Wait, there's new ones?
They signed a big deal, but it's too early to say that. I mean, at the end of the day, though, most people, a lot of people.
Weren't they also streaming? Like I didn't think they were theatrical.
I don't know if they're both or not.
Because I thought the deal was for a streaming service to produce them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, we know David Gordon Green's doing it, so I'm sure there's a lot of Exorcist fans that are currently really worried, and I don't blame them. But at the end of the day, a lot of people need to remember that when you see a production budget, it does not include marketing, and marketing is always significantly more than the production. Like this movie was made for $30 million, but in order to break even, they're gonna have to pull in 80, and they might not get there. So, and if they do, it'll be just barely. And then you got to take into account that the theater gets part of that cut. So realistically, to break even, the film probably is $95 million. and I don't think it's making $95 million worldwide. I don't. And that's it. So when we were talking about box office on the channel not too long ago, and a lot of people kept saying, well, you need to remember, and I get it wanting to be positive. I do. I'd much rather talk about how Halloween Ends was this incredible end to a great trilogy that revived the franchise and to an extent part of the slasher genre. I'd much rather talk about that, but that didn't happen. But people kept being like, okay, well, no, it'll make more than Halloween Kills because one, Halloween Kills was in the pandemic, and that hurt it. Two, movie tickets went through a significant increase across all North America in the last year. So you have that as well. And then three, it's supposed to be the end. So they were their excuses for at least the end of this timeline for why it's going to make more than Halloween Kills. But my counter to that is you could use all those same excuses as to why it didn't do that and why it makes it even worse that if it doesn't get the kills and it had all that going for it. That's alarming, everyone should remember though that 2018 made so much fucking money and is literally the highest grossing slasher of all time that they paid for their trilogy. They legitimately paid for their trilogy, and anything else is a bonus to them at this point. They got their money already way back in 2018. So, I mean, hey, they didn't want to lose $30 million a movie, obviously, and they won't, but they got their money. There is another super chat in here, fellas. I know you guys got to get going, so I'll get you guys out of here after this super chat, and then I'll probably stick around with the chat for maybe a half an hour. We'll see. Anthony Laundry says, do we have any early info on where the franchise will land next, since it appears this is over with Blumhouse? On our Patreon a while back, we threw out a rumor about a studio that was rumored to be attached, but there's nothing definitive to a point that right now they're just taking pitches from individuals at this point. I don't even know if it would be open to any individual. Just Danielle Harris and Malaka Cat have a long history together. And they're seeing if they can do anything with Jamie Lloyd. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see.
At this point, whoever Malek wants to talk to, like really, that's all we got.
Yeah, and again, guy's not very happy right now, and he's probably going to be very careful with what happens. You're not going to wait 9 years again. Like the 9 years in between Rob Zombie's 2, Halloween 2, and this, or 2018, will not happen. I don't even I can almost guarantee you won't be waiting until 2028, the 50-year anniversary either. But I can't guarantee you that what you see next will be a theatrical release. I would not be at all shocked if it's a deal with a Netflix or an Amazon or an Apple or someone to go straight to a streaming service on a standalone film. Even with the Halloween 4 follow-up idea, there's no guarantee it'll be a theatrical release, because if they can guarantee their money off the bat and do something on some Mike Flanagan did Hush for $1 million at Netflix. $1 million. And he also didn't have to handle any of the marketing. That was all Netflix, and he got paid to do it. I'm not saying you can do that with a Halloween movie, but you could do a Halloween movie for $5 million, even in today's industry, have a much smaller scale, and they'd still make money off of it because Netflix would pay more than that for it. So,
well, that's also not sleep on Amazon. They are throwing a lot of money to do these things. Like, I mean, look at how much. I mean, obviously it's apples to oranges, but look at how much they're paying for Bond. I mean, they literally bought an entire movie studio just to get that franchise.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Although I highly doubt any Bond thing will be straight to Amazon.
No, but it would be a much more. Yes, they're not going to ditch the theatrical release, but it would be more of what a traditional film like more what HBO Max is becoming now. You're in theaters and see it on, or Disney Plus is another example. You're in theaters, 5 weeks later, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what or where they go there. My question to you guys here before you go, your final questions for the stream is this simple: where would you like to see the franchise go next? I'll answer first to give you a second to think about it. Mine's simple. There's two routes to take, and I can almost guarantee that it's going to be one of them that happens. It's either you finally give Halloween 4 the justice it deserves, but again, it's got to be done in a way where you're only referencing that film, and it's a film that a whole new audience can watch. They shouldn't have to go back and watch that other film, or else they won't do it. Or it's just a completely new direction with Michael Myers and Laurie Strode's not involved at all. And I think both of those, it's going to be one of those two. You are not going to see a reboot with Laurie Strode 3.0 here. It's not Jamie Lee Curtis or Scott Taylor Compton. It's Jer from the Dark Match Drive playing Laurie in the new Halloween. Those things
I'd watch the hell out of that movie, though.
are not going to happen. To me, it's Danielle Harris might get her way, or they go completely new. Where do you guys want them to go? Pardon me.
It's tough, because the character of Michael Myers is so intrinsically linked to Laurie Strode that it's difficult for me to, see that character continuing without her. Where I would take it, I would do, either get a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or an HBO Max or whoever, Malek decides to take this to, and do a series, like a limited series that explains Michael Myers. Is he human or is this some supernatural? If it's supernatural, explain it so that you can sort of pass the curse on to your next shape, basically, and continue on with that vein, because we can explain what it is that makes Michael, whether that's like the Cult of Thorn or something new altogether. I have no idea, but something like that just explains what makes Michael, I think would be good. And you could even sort of intersperse in these films, we have that, such long gap between Halloween and Halloween 2018 that, you could fill that space in and explain what it is that makes Michael very easily in that time period without taking anything away from the franchise we have. And then if you want to pick the story up afterwards with Corey or someone else altogether, you can do that. But I don't think you can have specifically Michael Myers without Laurie Strode, but I think you can have the shape without Laurie Strode.
Sorry, Jerry.
No, go ahead.
There's no Halloween without Michael Myers in terms of the franchise longevity. They burnt that card in this movie. I was all for something different with Season of the Witch. Go back and do a sequel to it and find out the aftermath, or just do a modern take on it. And after they benched Michael in this movie, Michael's not getting benched again. There's no chance. And I know there's people that are going to run to the Halloween 4 well, by the way, about how it somewhat implied that Jamie's the evil at the end in her little clown costume with the knife at the top of the stairs. Malekakad's on record of saying he would never have gone for that, nor would his dad. So any Jamie movie is not going to be her as the killer and Michael not in it. That won't happen. Your take, Jared. I am interested in Johnny's. It almost sounds like a character study, which I'd be okay with it, especially in like a limited series.
I think Johnny's onto something, because they killed Michael deader than dead. And I don't know if they can retcon this one. It feels very final. And I mean, yeah, I was hoping they could, have something with Corey, and I don't know if, there's maybe a thread there, but judging by the reaction, I don't think they'll go that direction. I think they've made their bed, and they can't afford to, no matter how good of a story they told, the reviews are not kind to the story they told. So that's dead in the water. There's legs with the Halloween 4 to 6 stuff, because they showed they can do something without Laurie Strode being around. How do they get there? That's up for debate. They would have to act as if this trilogy doesn't exist, which is fine, I guess. If they wait long enough, sure, they could get away with it. But I don't think we would see something within the next 2 years if that's the case. They would need people to kind of get over this movie in a sense and not forget the trilogy, but let it kind of fade. And then you can kind of treat whatever Michael they work with, even if they show respect to this trilogy and have the mask be the essence of Michael and whatnot, and they actually get a fresh body under there. Okay, fine. It's still the essence of Michael. They can do something with that. Not Corey, obviously, but there's legs there. I don't know if they would, but I don't know. They've painted themselves into a pretty tough corner with how they did this movie as far as the future of the franchise.
It's going to be like, I know Matt said he's hoping 24. 24 is like best case scenario, and that's if it's a super small production. And I think it would be. I don't think they'll be looking at making a profit, of course, but they're already getting diminishing returns. So I don't think they'll touch anything, even though people might be like, hey, well, Allison's out there and she left, and maybe there's something else to do there. The chances of them doing anything with the story that Universal has set up is slim to none. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I do like the character study idea or a limited series idea. I wouldn't also be against the Jamie Lloyd character coming back in a limited series where you can explore. I hate that I'm using this word. Her trauma a little bit from that night, and
except pay her enough to kill her off this time.
Yeah. Don't H6 it. Bullshit. My God.
Speaking of which, I watched H6 last week for the first time in probably 20 years. It was really fun, and I enjoyed it, except Amazon seems to... it was a movie about Michael Myers, Meyers.
Which one was it? Does it end with the mask and the needles on the floor, or does it end with him in the trench coat and the hat walking away, and the last shot we see is a pumpkin?
The trench coat and the hat.
Trench coat. Because see, the producer's cut. The producer's cut is way, 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 way better than the theatrical cut, because the theatrical cut barely has any of Loomis in it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like 11 years old, and I rented it on Viewer's Choice because I was like, oh, hey, it's a Halloween movie. It's a scary movie. I'll watch it.
Has a lot of the cult stuff in it.
I had no fucking idea about any of this cult stuff. I was so lost. I was like, what the hell is this? And then watching it now, I'm like, oh, there's actually a story here that can kind of tie together. Okay, so the rewatch was much better.
Even though there was a dumpster fire of creative mess behind that movie, probably more so with that movie than Halloween Ends. The producer's cut that ended up coming out, I find it very enjoyable. Johnny and I did a watch along with Kieran last year for that movie in person too, actually, and it was Kieran had never seen it, and we all quite enjoyed it. It was, I know it gets some hate, but I actually find it as one of the better Halloween movies.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I'm gonna slowly work my way back into the older Halloween movies. I haven't watched Halloween 3 in about 2 years, so I gotta get back
maybe
into
we should
that one.
wait for that one to do like a big get together for H3.
Yeah,
I'd be down for it. I have it in 4K sitting right there. I haven't even taken it out of the fucking package. It's been there a year. Eventually, it's gonna happen. I have H4 in the package. I haven't taken it out either. So
yeah.
Anyways, it's going to do it for these guys. I'm going to stick around for 20 minutes. So if you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to send them in now. I see that Matthew has a couple of super chats. I will definitely get to those too. But Johnny, where can everybody find you at? What are you doing these days, man?
Oh, man, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. Bros for Pros over on Twitch. And I'm hoping to get the YouTube channel up and running here in the next week or two.
Awesome.
Google's going to take half your money once you get monetized anyway.
So we got to get there first. And half of something is still something.
Yeah.
So we can watch you miss your free throws on YouTube as well as Twitch?
Oh, man. And
Hey,
you want to play hockey one time on your Twitch channel and watch how good that goes for you? We could do that. I'd be far too scared to tackle any of the other sports. I sure as fuck I'm not tackling wrestling with you. That's not happening.
Honestly, I've been in his Twitch a couple times. It's a fun time.
Just wait for Fight Forever. We'll have fun with that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, for sure. I like the mini games aspect of that. Kind of reminds me of NHL 2K5 back in the day, and Mario Party to an extent. So,
Good stuff.
Yes.
question is, will CM Punk and the Young Bucks be in the game? My guess is yes. I don't.
I think they're
Well,
too
Cody
far along.
Rhodes is still in the game, so yes.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been working on production for that for a long time.
I'll have to wait and see. Jared, where can everybody find you at, man? What do you got going on?
You can find me on Facebook, Dark Match Drive, Facebook page. I'm also on Discord, Dark Match Drive there. There's links on the Facebook page that will get you into the Discord. We do live streams. We do all sorts of discussions during live events, all that fun stuff. I get a Google Drive for $10 a month that I am working tirelessly on. There is so much stuff I'm working on right now. I'm working on an entire Bret Hart folder at the moment. Right now I have every Bret Hart match from September 1972 to September 1988. So
All of a sudden, I'm interested. That's awesome, man. That's great. We keep talking about trying to do something with the Dark Match Drive on the channel. One way or another, something's going to happen. It's just a matter of what and when. I'm not going to tip their hand to this yet, but Kieran got a hold of me this week. And for those of you guys that like Kieran and the guy that looks like Kieran, there might be something coming with him and him. So we'll wait and see. Still waiting to hear more about that, but that's something that's going on. And
I noticed something else. Kieran's legit brother actually looks like Corey Cunningham. It's kind of weird.
Which one?
Kale.
Oh God! Oh God!
I played a baseball
Whoa.
tournament with him. I'm trying to. Man.
Oh God!
Does anybody know if Kieran survived Halloween Haunt?
Oh, good question. I know I
hasn't
believe he's been
said
kind of
anything in a
active
while?
in chats a little bit. Unless the
That
clown got
last-
him under the bridge.
Like, he sent a message about an hour ago in the fantasy football chat. Nothing since.
He reacted to something I sent about half an hour ago. So.
Oh
He's-
yes,
he's
not dead. Or he is capable of using Messenger from beyond.
Yeah, he could be like 6 feet under right now. The clown.
And the
with
idea
axe
of being
probably
Messenger
got him.
haunted by Kieran forever is just terrifying now.
Yeah, the dude, those snakes under the bridge, not fun.
Big thanks to Johnny and Jared for coming out and stick it 2 hours and 43 minutes. I'll get us to the 3 hour mark, but big thanks to them. And don't forget that you can check Johnny out on Twitch. Bros Before Pros Gaming. I'm sure he's on OnlyFans there too, where you get to see the full picture of him as he's gaming.
Yeah, you get to see the camera from the waist down on that.
Oh,
Yeah, you should see where he puts that Xbox controller.
man.
No lube.
Does that camera have great zoom? Anyway,
It does. It works so well. You can see everything because it has to zoom out.
I see. So you got the IMAX shot going on.
That's right.
And then you
You
can
can
check
see everything.
Dark Match Drive on Facebook. Go there if you're a wrestling fan. Those guys talk wrestling all day, everything you could possibly think of. I'm sure there's some guy named Harry against some guy named Snuffleupagus fighting somewhere, doing something, and Jared probably knows about it.
That
So
almost sounds like an
Absolutely.
Anime North match.
Yeah, I mean, oh, dude, the Elmo rock bottom video started making waves on Twitter again.
Is that after the Mike and a dog video?
Yes, yeah.
Because that was special.
That-
I saw that. I'm like, this was Bleacher Report sending me a random wrestling. I look at it, I'm like, is that Mike?
Yep.
And it's Mike wrestling a dog.
well, for talk like that, head on over to the Dark Match Drive because it doesn't stop. So if you're a wrestling fan, pro wrestling fan, head on over there. Really appreciate you guys coming out and doing this, and we'll see you both soon.
It's been fun.
Take it easy, fellas.
Take care.
There you have it. Johnny from Bros Before Pros and Jer from the Dark Match Drive. Check them out when you can. Let me pull something else up here for a second. If I didn't delete it, I probably deleted it. That's what I do. I ruin nice things. Let's go with that one right there. All right, there we go. The floor is yours, chat. Anything Halloween Ends related or Halloween related you want to talk about, feel free and we'll get to it. Mike says, David Gordon Green says he literally records everything. There's tons of deleted scenes out there that we won't see. That's a big piss off. And I know some directors, even Todd Phillips with Joker, said they're deleted scenes for a reason. I don't have to show them. And they're right, but I'd like to see them care a little bit more about the fans and allow them a sneak peek at those. The flip side to that is if they show them and the fans like the deleted scenes better than what's in the movie, then the director gets thrown under the bus for making the wrong choices, which is a real problem for sure. Matt, we're getting to your super chats now, man. Apologies for the delay. And to everybody who's come out tonight, it really means a lot that you're coming out and supporting the channel on this level. I can't say enough. We definitely thank everybody who's super chatted. Without an income, the channel can't exist in the way that it does. And honestly, even if you can't super chat and if you can't sign up to our Patreon, which offers a lot of good content and it's sort of going through a reshaping, if you will, right now. By the way, you can sign up at patreon.com/Fandom Empire. That's fine too, because all you have to do is click the like button. That's it. Looks like a thumb. Click it, or Corey or Michael or whoever that is. I think it's Michael is gonna come after you. All right, Matt says, do a 2 or 3 part movie like Fear Street. I fucking loved those movies. And have Michael killing throughout the entire month of October, the last movie taking place on Halloween. New characters and no family ties. Let me throw my own take at that, which I know people would probably not go for now after this movie. But for me, I had this idea of doing this Halloween limited series, or for them to do a Halloween limited series where it's like 6 to 10 episodes long. It all takes place on the same night, but we're seeing different groups of people. Like each episode would follow a different group of people in Haddonfield on that night. So if it was 6 episodes, you'd have 6 different groups of people. And they would either see or hear about some of the carnage going on. We would see how those people respond to it. And obviously, at some point, they have to encounter Michael Myers. But I would like that. So you get more of a feel of how, I think Jared brought up during the stream, how we really only see it from like the inner circles perspective, where this would really allow you to have a better feel for how Haddonfield's feeling during the time. So I wouldn't mind something like that, but I don't mind your pitch, Matt. Also, I'd wait until 2028 at least. In the meantime, how about a video game similar to Friday the 13th, but better and less glitchy? The problem with video games, man, and apparently there is one in development, but I have no idea by who. Video games are stupid expensive, like insanely expensive. I love Friday the 13th, but they ruined that game multiple times with updates. It's probably my favorite horror game ever. I enjoyed Friday the 13th more than I enjoyed Dead by Daylight. But for a couple years now, there's been a rumor of a Halloween game in development. But I think when everybody thinks about a Halloween game, they go and get attached to this idea of like having this big Grand Theft Auto like Halloween title. When in reality, it would be a very, small scale game. It would have to be, Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes out next year and it's small scale. Friday the 13th was small scale. This would be no different. And I can basically guarantee you there absolutely will be Halloween content before 2028. I, for a while, was thinking 2028. It's definitely not going to be that now. But subjective, you never know. Pumpkin Man Forever. Would a Halloween TV series work? Have 5 episodes about young Michael in Smith Grove and then have the next 5 taking place on Halloween. My question would be, what would happen during those 5 episodes? Is there another killer maybe at Smith Grove that we're focusing on with Michael? Or I don't know if you can go through 5 episodes of not a whole lot happening, especially after Halloween Ends has not a whole lot happening in the beginning, but I like the concept. I don't mind peeling back the curtain at this point, so we'll have to wait and see if anything like that happens, though. Let's see. Mario says, leaving Michael Myers left out so wrong. Corey being the killer, give me a break. Michael Myers should have been the main character killer. Halloween Ends. Really disappointed. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. Again, I liked the execution of Corey, but it was the wrong movie to do that in. And another thing is, like, the marketing for this movie smacks you over the head with Laurie versus Michael, Laurie versus Michael, Laurie versus Michael, and it's not that. Just like the Halloween Kills marketing smacked you over the head, making you think that Laurie had a much bigger part than she did, and she didn't. The marketing, specifically on the final two movies, has been very disingenuous. Which, I mean, that happens on some marketing campaigns, but this one just didn't land well. Chris says, just rewatched Ends on Peacock. Man, it's still shit after all the stop pausing I did. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, bro. Trust me, I get it. I totally understand, and I'm sure you're sitting in your bedroom going like this. No! We've got 8 minutes left in the show, guys. So final chance to get your questions in. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. We're talking about Bret Hart, not Halloween Ends, right? Just checking. Alex says, did you see the question about the girl under the fence? The way she says you're dead too was ominous and creepy. Why did she say that instead of look out or he's behind you? Probably a question better for David Gordon Green than me. But again, when Corey runs her over, I was secretly going, yeah, that's awesome. That was kind of a Michael thing to do. So, Brooke, why isn't a cat happy with Ends? I think again, anything that we talk about should be taken with a grain of salt. But we addressed this earlier in the stream, man, and it's just creative differences. Again, Brian Freeman tipped the hand there. And yes, I'm glad someone brought this up. Pika says Cad was at the premiere. I mentioned the other night that he wasn't. He was at the premiere, but there was two. There was one at Screamfest and one here. And a lot of the people involved with the movie went to the Screamfest one. Cad did not. I mean, they also went to the world premiere one at Chinese, but Cad also refused to do media. You can go on YouTube and find extensive interviews with almost all of them. And other than the little speech they gave at the beginning where you got Bill Block, Mustafa Cad, that'd be something, Malaka Cad and Jason Blum on stage. Yeah, I mean, creative differences happen, though. It's not new to this franchise. But like, is anybody really surprised that he'd be pissed off a bit? You know, I'm not. How many times has this movie changed direction? A ton. Let's see here. Do you think we will ever see the original ending to 2018? Well, they're releasing that 3-pack that someone mentioned in the chat earlier. I would not hold your breath on there being a ton of extras, but if they want people to buy it, I would be at least including as many extras as possible. Sean, do you know if the Radio Tower ending was filmed? To my knowledge, it was never supposed to end at the Radio Tower, man. Again, to my knowledge, but maybe. We see it get lit on fire. Frank the Tank says they did Michael so dirty in Ends. I don't disagree, man. I back you up on that one. Can you imagine if Corey runs after the kid get killed into the sewers to not get caught and meet Myers 60 minutes earlier? To an extent. NMJ says, say what you will about the brother-sister angle, but this movie wouldn't even be possible if they stuck with that angle. Yeah, I mean, I was never married to the brother and sister thing, and it didn't bother me at all that they dropped it for this one. But yeah. Wasn't Josh Hartnett and the little girl, Jamie Lloyd, supposed to have a cameo in Ends? I could have heard Sean say that. Well, Frank, I'm assuming that you were a Patreon member at some point, because I don't recall saying that publicly. But we did talk about it on Patreon, and to my knowledge, yeah, both of those things were supposed to happen. This was also, though, during the time where the movie was supposed to take place on the same night. We were having those conversations way back before Halloween Kills came out. CM Punk, too. I don't know if anybody spotted him, but if you did spot CM Punk in the movie, let me know. Only seen it one time, so Yeah, we hit some things, man. We miss other things. We're not saying we're perfect, but I'll tell you one thing: we don't go and tell other people one thing and then go on air and tell our audience a completely separate thing. That's not the way we do things. So, and to be honest, like I know not, and I mean, I'm sure not many people are asking for this, but I'd be down for a Josh Hartnett continuation from H2O. I don't know if you can convince him to come back. And Braden Timmons is doing good stuff over where he is, but I'd be up for that too. The CAD wants nothing to do with this movie. That seems to be the going word. But again, he's not going to come out and bash it. That doesn't do him any good. And I'm also not a CAD. I can only go off what we're told, and I feel like the people that share their insights with us have a pretty damn good track record. So there's that. I like your background music, makes me happy. Well, the truth is, I don't. I would much rather something else as the background music, but YouTube's just getting so strict with what you can and cannot play and for how long. Frank the Tank, come on, Sean. As a huge Halloween fan, how can you keep a straight face and say that? I thought you'd hate the movie. So I hate the decisions this movie does, man. The Michael Myers shit is horrible. I think it's terribly disrespectful to the character. I think the way they marketed the movie and then presented something completely different was terrible. And it sucked knowing that too, knowing we could only see so much. And you guys might remember ad nauseum I've been saying for the last several months, there's going to be a lot of people that hate this movie. And again, but hey, who the fuck am I? I'm a bus driver and a part-time YouTuber. I don't know any better than they do. I liked Corey in this movie. I didn't think I would. I thought I would go see this movie and Corey would drive me fucking nuts. So, yeah. Frank the Tank likes to point out our flaws here, but I don't mind showing it. You said Michael would dress exactly like he did in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Hobo Myers. I'm not trying to knock you, but you said it. Maybe it was left on the cutting room floor. I never said he would dress exactly like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I said he had a jacket with a hood on it on. And I also said he gets it from a hobo outside of where he's staying. And you might have noticed in the movie that hobo is there. Now, my thing is, was it ever Michael Myers that was in the jacket, or was it Corey after he gets the mask that gets the jacket on? Couldn't tell you, but at some point that was absolutely a thing, and there's footage of it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to get technical, we were wrong on that, so it happens. Great show tonight. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. It's appreciated. I see Blake IRL saying Sean, but I don't see anything before that. Blake, did you send something else that I'm not seeing, man? I just see Sean with a star. Don't get why Allison fell in love so fast with Corey Taylor. Well, I mean, Corey Taylor is probably a little busy. But yeah, is what it is. I also think lonely people fall for lonely people. Again, they like to take a lot of real life situations and put them in these movies. And these things happen. How many times have you heard of some sick and twisted story where person X falls for person Z and it ends terribly? And I mean, that's fucking every other episode of Jerry Springer. So Keith says, I would hope they will portray the shape with Warlock, like stalking in the future. Yeah, I mean, that is something that hopefully we get to see some of that, because Corey does some stalking that we don't see in the final cut. And there's about a 7-minute Glass Hill sequence that's cut too. So hopefully we see that. I mean, they literally rented out an entire facility to shoot that and then cut it. So it is what it is. Pika says, saw it again tonight in IMAX and everyone clapped at the end. Really? Oh, well, that's cool. I mean, I wouldn't have, but if it got I could see people clapping for Laurie's ending. Jamie Lee Curtis is a talent that everybody loves and is the main reason why there's so much attention on these new movies. Was Loomis supposed to be in this movie somehow? Not that I know of, but again. Brooke Flynn says, according to my sources, they're making Halloween 3 next and Rob Zombie is directing. No! I can get on board with the first part of that, not the second part of that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for us tonight. A big thank you to everybody who's come out and spent their Saturday night with us. I hope you enjoyed the film. Like I do. I hope that even let me rephrase that. I hope you enjoyed your experience going to this film, and I hope you enjoyed seeing all these films. When they announced this in 2017, it was like a breath of fresh air. We finally got this incredible, for me anyways, this incredible franchise back. And it had been, I guess, 8 years at that time since Rob Zombie's divisive Halloween 2. And there was several attempts at movies. There was Halloween Returns, which I know a lot of people wish was made but didn't get made. Then there was Halloween 3D. I don't know if you guys remember that. What's that website where you can go back and look at old internet history, and you can see Halloween 3D announced on HalloweenMovies.com. That didn't end up happening. So just remember, even if Collider comes out and announces that there's another Halloween movie in development, that doesn't mean it's ever going to see the light of day. Look at Taking Shape 2, for example. That's a Bible of Halloween movies that were either being pitched or in production that never made it to screen. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened, because there's a very realistic chance that we might not have gotten these movies at all. And even though they have their issues, they came back and in a way, kind of reinvigorated the slasher franchise. So they have their issues. They're flawed. Nothing's perfect. But I enjoyed them. And I hope that each and every one of you, whether you got to go to TIFF or Venice or one of the Fear Fest festivals, or just seeing it on opening night, or if you were sitting at it with loved ones at home on Peacock, that you just enjoyed the experience of seeing a new Halloween movie, even if you didn't necessarily agree with the decisions that were made in the film. But yeah, I think that it's we sometimes take for granted that these things are hard to make, and at the end of the day, there's no there's no idea. You got to spend your time doing something more productive with your life. You can I don't know. You can always assume something else is coming. It could be something new. It could be something from Halloween 4. It could be Halloween 3. But there's no guarantee it ever makes it to screen. Nothing's there to guarantee that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this stream. Appreciate you all coming out. It was a lot of fun. Have a great weekend. Take it easy. Don't forget, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. This past Tuesday, the Overlook Drive-In did Halloween H2O. It was a lot of fun. And I probably ranked the movie higher than I thought I was going to, which surprised Mike. This Tuesday, Halloween 2 on the Overlook Drive-In, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you all there. Have a great fucking evening. Take it easy. And it might not be soon, but don't forget that the boogeyman is in fact coming.